79%. Chapter 381. When preparing to go to Taiyan sect, the leader of Taiyan sect panicked. Why don't you find a chance to give it a try? Is this young master a vain person? After Zhang Li finished speaking, Xiao Chen raised the corner of his mouth slightly and responded somewhat provocatively. This sentence fell. Zhang Li's expression froze slightly and she stared at Xiao Chen angrily. This guy, he actually teased her in front of a bunch of his confidant. Do you really think that she, the queen of demons, is one of his women? The silver teeth are clenched. When she wanted to have a good argument with Xiao Chen, Zhang Li realized that she was the one who started the topic. After all, it was the party who was in the wrong. In the end, he could only snort and was too lazy to respond to the topic. Supreme Demon Lord, Lao Nu Tianxi respectfully welcomes you. Your heroic appearance has made this world speak English. When the conversation between the two ended, Tianxi's figure suddenly appeared. As soon as he appeared on the stage, he was full of pious praise for Xiao Chen. But before the other party finished speaking, he was interrupted speechlessly by Xiao Chen. Ahem, report to the Demon Lord. Heavenly Sword Sect has been completely wiped out. This is the resource obtained from the destruction of Heavenly Sword Sect. Please ask the Demon Lord to take a look. Seeing that Xiao Chen didn't like this kind of flattery, Tianxi coughed and replied respectfully. Then he handed over a ring. Well done. When Xiao Chen heard this, he took the ring and glanced at it with his soul, and praised it without hesitation. This made Tianxi's old face look happy. It seems that being able to get Xiao Chen's appreciation is the highlight of his life. Master, as you command. We integrated the forces under Xingqian Pavilion overnight. This is all the supplies we have collected. After Tianxi reported the results, Luo Chenyi thought of what Xiao Chen had told him yesterday, and immediately took out a storage ring. Xiao Chen didn't show any pretense when he heard this, and casually took the ring. Hun Nian took a cursory glance at the materials inside, and then issued a recycling command to the system without hesitation. Ding! The system has recovered all the items in the ring. Congratulations to the host for gaining 1.5 billion points. As the system prompt sounded, a look of surprise appeared on Xiao Chen's face. Unexpectedly, the remaining resources and items from the two supreme forces. It actually allowed him to get 1.5 billion points. Including the previous 5.1 billion points, the points now reach 6.6 billion. We are a long way away from the goal of 10 billion. Perhaps we can also harvest a wave at Taiyan Gate. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen took out a jade pendant for communication and issued instructions to the four elders whose life and death were controlled by Tianxi. After finishing the strawberry milkshake, Sister Zuner said that she would show some unique skills later and asked me if I could take her to see the underwater world. It's a crime to have such a pure face and be so tormented. The other side, Taiyan sect. In a hall shrouded in a cold atmosphere, there are women with gray hair, but their skin is whiter than snow, and moist. No, these are all young girls, so they should be called older girls. At this time, a large group of beauties were sitting cross-legged in the hall, as if waiting for information, and the atmosphere seemed particularly solemn. And this group of people. It was Ling Yuxuan, the leader of Taiyan sect, and the only other 6 supreme elders. Sect Master, the spies have sent news. The 18th prince of the Great Principal Dynasty did indeed bring his personal guards and several senior officials from the Heavenly Sword sect. We went to Star Pavilion together. But, not only was Xingqian Pavilion not destroyed or surrendered, it actually destroyed the 18th prince of the Great Principal Dynasty. What? When the atmosphere in the hall became heavy and dead, a woman suddenly rushed into the hall and knelt down on one knee and said, this piece of information. It was no less than a thunderous explosion on the ground, causing Ling Yuxuan and many elders to have a look of horror on their faces. As far as they know, next to the 18th prince of the Great Principal Dynasty, there was a very terrifying powerful emperor. How could he be destroyed by Xingqian Pavilion? What the hell does this happen? With her heart trembling, Ling Yuxuan asked hurriedly. To the sect master, there are also powerful emperors behind Xingqian Pavilion to help. Yesterday, an extremely terrifying fight broke out in the sky above Xingqian Pavilion. Although some powerful emperors blocked the sky, some people saw dragon shadows flickering in the sky. It is suspected that the great principal emperor once projected himself to the Star Pavilion, but in the end he failed to save the 18th prince and others. After Ling Yuxuan finished speaking, the woman looked frightened. Even if the great principal emperor takes action, there is no way to save the situation. How terrifying is the strength of the person who takes action? It must be Mr. Xiao. Besides him, I really can't think of anyone else who has the ability to save Star Pavilion from the hands of the great principal. When Ling Yuxuan was horrified, a fair-looking white-haired woman next to her spoke with some excitement. Thinking of that day, not only could Xiao Chen heal their injuries with a raise of his hand, but he could also make a powerful heavenly demon tribe be as obedient as a dog. Even the famous Lu Shen from the Eastern Domain followed him. This young master is absolutely unimaginably terrifying. If Xingqian Pavilion asks for help from him, it wouldn't be surprising to see this result. Master Xiao. After hearing these two sentences, Ling Yuxuan's expression couldn't help but change. Regarding things in Dongwang, the four elders had already confessed completely to her before taking time. Also let her know, there is actually a young master hiding in the Eastern Domain with unbelievable means. Even Lu Shen, who is famous in the Eastern Domain, is willing to follow him. During this time, the four elders have been brainwashing her about this mysterious young master. Taiyan sect may come to her in the future, so she should be mentally prepared as soon as possible. And now, this young man seemed to be showing up, which made her really panic. After all, the Taiyan sect is a women's sect. Once they put down their dignity and surrender to others, the entire sect may become a plaything. The sect leader is really Mr. Xiao. Master Xiao sent a message. He said that he will come to Taiyan sect soon. Let us set up the space array and prepare for their arrival. When Ling Yuxuan's expression changed, the elder who just spoke suddenly took out a jade pendant for communication. He shouted with trembling voice. What? After hearing these words, Ling Yuxuan's pupils shrank suddenly and she raised her head with a look of shock. How could it be so fast? If the person who helps Xingqian Pavilion survive the crisis is really Mr. Xiao. The other party just went through a big battle, shouldn't they need to rest for a few days? Could it be that the other party had an accident during the war and now urgently needs pure yin women to supplement the furnace? In just a few moments, various thoughts flashed through Ling Yuxuan's mind, and her state of mind, which was originally as calm as a cold pool, also stirred up waves. But the four elders whose injuries had been treated by Xiao Chen and whose talents had been improved did not think too much at this moment. After one of the elders finished speaking, the group of people rushed out of the Taiyan palace. Then he took out a space array disc and prepared for the arrival of Xiao Chen and his party. You see the actions of the four elders. The expressions of Ling Yuxuan and the other two elders changed, and they appeared one by one in the square outside the Taiyan palace. These guys, what kind of ecstasy was poured into his body to make him believe in this young master Xiao so much? If Xiao Chen came with bad intentions, it would be a disaster for Taiyan sect. 79%. Chapter 382. The sect leader shouldn't have any objections, right? Buzz. When Ling Yuxuan and others rushed out, the space array hummed, and a beam of light rose into the sky. The sky above Taiyan sect was changing, and a vortex was thrown upside down in the void. Coming. See this scene in front of you. Ling Yuxuan and others stared at the whirlpool, their body nerves extremely tense at this moment. Roar. Next moment, accompanied by a dragon roar that shook the world, a two-headed demon dragon dragged the chariot to the palace. It also rushed out from the whirlpool, and the terrifying pressure filled the world. The expressions of Ling Yuxuan and others changed again. Double-headed demonic dragon chariot. Sure enough, Mr. Xiao has arrived. Seeing the familiar chariot and palace, the four supreme elders couldn't help but exclaimed. They had only seen such a domineering chariot palace once. But even so, this chariot palace still left an indelible impression on several people. After all, this is Xiao Chen's chariot palace. The chariot is pulled by a demonic dragon in the supreme realm, and the chariot's palace exudes imperial power. Is this Mr. Xiao? Feeling the pressure of the two-headed dragon puppet and the chariot palace, Ling Yuxuan's heart couldn't help but tremble violently. Although this two-headed demon dragon puppet has only the supreme first-level cultivation level, the chariot behind it is moving in the palace. If you are not a strong emperor, or have an emperor-level background, you will never be able to have it. While Ling Yuxuan and others were shocked, the double-headed demon dragon chariot circled in the void, frightening countless disciples of the Taiyan sect. It also landed steadily on Taiyan Square. It's such a rich, mysterious yin energy. The spiritual energy and yin energy of heaven and earth here are more than 10 times richer than that of Wanwaman. When the double-headed demon dragon's chariot landed, Duan Muzuiying and others felt the concentration of heaven and earth spiritual energy and Xuanian energy. Everyone looked shocked. With such a superior cultivation environment, for those who have body of pure yin, this place is definitely a sacred land for cultivation. If you like it, you can practice here peacefully from now on. Seeing Duan Muzuiing and others' expressions of astonishment, Xiao Chen said with a slight smile. It was as if the entire Taiyan sect was already in his possession. We welcome Mr. Xiao. When Xiao Chen finished speaking, the four supreme elders had already appeared in front of the chariot palace, and each of them bowed to Xiao Chen with excited expressions. It seems that the introduction of Xiao Chen can make the Taiyan sect prosperous and prosperous. Ling Yuxuan, the leader of the Taiyan sect. The great elder of Taiyan sect. The second elder of Taiyan sect. I've met Mr. Xiao. After the four supreme elders spoke, Ling Yuxuan also led the other two elders and bowed to Xiao Chen respectfully. Master of Taiyan sect. After hearing several people address themselves, Xiao Chen's eyes fell on Ling Yuxuan, and the corners of his mouth curved slightly. The cultivation level of Supreme 7th level is not weak at all. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen and others drifted down from the carriage palace, and a great pressure enveloped the entire square. After seeing Zuner's sister's unique skills, I couldn't stand being teased by her, so I could only take her for a walk. Unexpectedly, I saw a resentful classmate Medusa as soon as I walked out. No more than one emperor. Feel Xiao Chen's side. There were actually several auras as terrifying as the abyss, and the bodies of Ling Yuxuan and several elders were trembling slightly. No wonder. Being able to keep the Star Pavilion from the hands of the great principal dynasty, even annihilate the 18th prince and his entourage. It turns out that Mr. Xiao is actually followed by several powerful great emperors, which is simply unimaginable horror. Young Master, the Taiyan sect has absolutely no intention of holding a grudge against Master Wangqing and Master Qingju. I can swear by the oath of heaven on this. Feeling frightened and terrified in her heart, Ling Yuxuan raised her head and said to Xiao Chen. It seemed that he was afraid of opening his mouth too late. If Xiao Chen ordered the Taiyan sect to be settled because of some grudges they had, then their deaths would be unjust. Do not be nervous. This time, I am not here to settle accounts with you. I just want to take something from you, and of course I will also give you a chance. Seeing that Ling Yuxuan was extremely nervous, Xiao Chen spoke calmly. These words, Ling Yuxuan was frightened again. Take something away. Could it be referring to their primordial yin? After all, looking at the entire Taiyan sect, in addition to a bunch of beauties, there are also their primordial yin. Ling Yuxuan couldn't think of anything else in the Taiyan sect that was worthy of Xiao Chen's attention. I need a batch of emergency supplies, so I want all the resources in the Taiyan sect's inventory. Afterwards, I will help you improve your talents and help your cultivation level to make breakthroughs again. Seeing Ling Yuxuan's expression changing between gloomy and uncertain, she seemed to be thinking of something irrelevant. Xiao Chen said straight to the point. Want all the resources of Taiyan sect. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Ling Yuxuan raised her head sharply. Obviously didn't expect Xiao Chen actually spoke like this. The opponent was followed by several great emperor masters, and even the chariot palace was at the extremely rare monarch level. His net worth should be enough to rival that of an ancient family. How could he have the background of a supreme power? Jia, Lord Demon Lord can discuss this with you so politely. This is already a great gift to you. Isn't it bad that you have this reluctance on your face? Seeing Ling Yuxuan's face being filled with difficulty, Tian Xie couldn't help but laugh strangely. A terrifying aura of imperial power also filled the air from his body. This made Ling Yuxuan's expression change. Since the young master is in urgent need, the Taiyan sect will naturally not be stingy. After the hairs all over her body trembled and stood up, Ling Yuxuan quickly replied to Xiao Chen. She didn't forget. Taiyan sect is now a weak party, and the other party did not directly destroy them, but discussed it with them very politely. This is already a huge blessing. If this young master Xiao is offended, the Taiyan sect will probably be reduced to ruins. Besides, my young master's woman likes this place very much. It just so happens that their sect inheritance originated from your Taiyan sect, and now they have returned to their roots. So I want them to practice in the Taiyan sect. You, the sect master, shouldn't have any objections, right? Xiao Chen smiled lightly and nodded when he heard this, and then discussed with the sect leader with a smile. These words, Ling Yuxuan and several elders immediately widened their eyes. This looks like a discussion, but it is actually an order. Let the group of women in front of them enter the Taiyan sect to practice, and they will have a bunch of ancestors above them from now on. Even after this group of women grew up, the Taiyan sect basically changed hands. Everything will follow the master's orders. Ling Yuxuan glanced at Duan Muzuiying and others, and replied with some resignation at this moment. The two are not on the same level at all. No matter what conditions the other party has, they can only agree at this time. Otherwise, it will only lead to the destruction of Taiyan sect, and they will not end well. When the thought falls, Ling Yuxuan took off the ring in her hand, erased the mark and handed it to Xiao Chen. There are several elders around. Each and every one of them also handed over all their net worth. Even within half a quarter of an hour, Ling Yuxuan retrieved the resources in stock and handed them over to Xiao Chen. After Xiao Chen received the Naji, he recycled all the materials. This increased his points count to 7.2 billion. There are still 2.8 billion left. This amount is not big or small. With a little more effort, we can make up to 10 billion. After glancing at the properties panel, Xiao Chen's eyes couldn't help but flicker. Then he looked at Ling Yuxuan in front of him. Is there an emperor-level chamber of commerce in the southern part of profound heaven? 79%. Chapter 383. Heading to Wanxin City, another charming and unparalleled woman. Emperor-level chamber of commerce. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Ling Yuxuan's expression froze, and then she answered truthfully. There are two chambers of commerce in the profound heaven realm, and both have reached the imperial level. One is the Juntian Chamber of Commerce supported by the Jun family, and the other is the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce established by the Lu family. In terms of strength and foundation, the Juntian Chamber of Commerce is backed by the Wanggu Jun family. The resource market is stronger than that of the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce, but the prices of some materials are also a bit higher. But if you are in urgent need, you can go to the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce to purchase supplies. Just in Wanxin City, thousands of miles away from Taiyan sect, there is a core branch of the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. Hearing Ling Yuxuan's words, Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows slightly. The core branch of the emperor-level Chamber of Commerce should have considerable resources stored in it. If he can win them all, even if he can't reach tens of billions of points, he can at least achieve a dozen more small goals. In that case, you should accompany me to Wanxin City. After the thought came to an end, Xiao Chen said to Ling Yuxuan. Anyway, it's thousands of miles away. For today's magic dragon chariot, it is only a short journey. If we can achieve great results from this trip, we can have a party tonight to celebrate. Now, Ling Yuxuan raised her head in shock when she heard this. She didn't expect this young man to be so impatient. What? Is there a problem? Seeing Ling Yuxuan's reaction, Xiao Chen frowned slightly. Is it possible? What's the inconvenience at the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce now? Sir, it's not a coincidence now. The Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce will hold a grand auction today, and other trading activities will be suspended during the auction. If we estimate the time now, the auction should be about to start. When Xiao Chen looked over, Ling Yuxuan replied with a wry smile. Original. The Taiyan sect also received an invitation to this auction, and she also intended to send the first elder and the second elder to go there. I wanted to see if I could get anything good by bidding, but I didn't expect something to happen in the past few days. The 18th prince of the Great Principal Dynasty suddenly came to Heavenly Sword Sect. Within a day, it was reported that everyone in Heavenly Sword Sect had surrendered and would follow the 18th prince to conquer other supreme forces. It made the senior executives like them panic, so they put the bidding on Wanxin City on hold for the time being. If we rush there now, we may not have enough time. It doesn't matter, an auction won't last long, we can go over there and wait for a while. Xiao Chen waved his hand after hearing this. Anyway, it's okay to have nothing to do in Taiyan sect, and you can just stroll around in Wanxin City. You can't play poker all day long and play poker whenever you have nothing to do. Although this kind of life is quite happy, it is still too monotonous overall. Since the young master has said this, I would rather obey your orders than be respectful. Ling Yuxuan nodded upon hearing this and responded humbly. After a brief exchange, the group stepped onto the double-headed magic dragon chariot and sped away in the direction of Wanxin City. Certainly, the other supreme elders of Taiyan sect did not go with him. After all, Xiao Chen is surrounded by emperor-level experts, so he has no need for supreme experts like them. After a lot of talking, I finally coaxed classmate Medusa and said that I would take her with me. Unexpectedly, my sister-in-law came to join in the fun and said that she wanted to go too, but it was so annoying. The other side, Fantasy City. As a core main city built by the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce, the overall strength of Fantasy City is not weaker than some supreme forces. The order management of the entire city is also in the hands of the Liu family. At this time, as the auction was being held, Wanxin City was also very lively. And this kind of excitement. Naturally, it was due to the grand auction held by the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. Just now, compared to the bustling scene in Fantasy City, the atmosphere in a wing of the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce was particularly depressing. Aren't the top leaders of the three supreme forces in the southern part of Profound Heaven arrived yet? After the atmosphere fell silent for a while, only a royal sister's voice was heard. A woman standing next to the window, looking down, also turned around at this moment. The eyebrows are as thin as willows, the red lips are like fire, and a strange mysterious rune is engraved between the eyebrows. The exquisite facial features are like a work of art carefully carved by God. With the red hair, she is full of charm and elegance. And that tight-fitting cheongsam, which perfectly outlines every curve of the body. This is a woman with extremely perfect appearance and figure. Even compared to Kai Yan, Lu Ruoxian and others, they are not inferior in figure or temperament. This person's name is concubine Lu Yan. The beautiful girl of the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce is not only born with Feng Yanshuan's spirit body, but also has super business ability. Less than 100 years. His cultivation reached the 9th level of Saint King, and he relied on many of his own methods. Gained the support of many elders of the Liu family and became the leader of the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. Status. He can be on an equal footing with several great emperors and elders. Well, the prototype of concubine Lu Yan is concubine Ya from Do Po, so I used her image. This one was made by the author himself. Doesn't it look good? To miss concubine Yan. Because the great principal empire suddenly invaded the chaotic land south of Profound Heaven, the three supreme forces are now in panic, and the Heavenly Sword sect was forced to surrender to the great principal empire. And in the past 2 days, the 18th prince of the great principal dynasty is preparing to attack Mr. Xingqian again. Although it is still unclear how the matter will turn out, these three major forces will probably not come to the auction this time in Fantasy City. After hearing concubine Lu Yan's words, a woman behind her said in a low voice. This person's name is Lu Ying, and he is the protector arranged by the Wanbao Lu family for concubine Yan. He is a terrifying and powerful man with the 9th level of Supreme. It's not as good as God. Concubine Lu Yan frowned when she heard this. I thought that this auction had been fully publicized in advance, and many first-rate forces should come next. But I didn't expect. Of the 4 supreme forces in the southern part of Profound Heaven, except for the Ming family, which was forced to disband some time ago, none of the other 3 major forces were present. This actually made concubine Lu Yan feel a little depressed. What about other forces? After shaking her head helplessly, concubine Lu Yan asked again. Star Pavilion, Taiyan Sect, Heavenly Sword Sect. Although it is the leading force in the southern part of Profound Heaven, in addition to these major forces, there are many Supreme level or Saint King level forces in the southern part of Profound Heaven. If these forces can all come, plus other forces outside the south, the auction can still go ahead. Other forces in the southern part of Profound Heaven have actually sent people to bid. There are only forces outside the south, but few have come here. After concubine Lu Yan finished speaking, Lu Ying said in a low voice. This made concubine Lu Yan look helpless again. The resources in the southern part of Profound Heaven are relatively scarce, and the resources of all the major forces are quite tight. Therefore, the items being auctioned in Fantasy City are of the highest quality and are only supreme grade. It is normal for the more powerful forces outside the south to look down on this auction. Everything remains as usual, get ready to start. After pondering for a moment, concubine Lu Yan was not discouraged and gave instructions in a calm voice. But just after Lu Yanfei said these words, the situation outside the Chamber of Commerce suddenly changed. The entire sky became dim at a speed visible to the naked eye, and a terrifying pressure swept across like a tsunami. It seemed as if some great terror was coming. Such a change. Not only did everyone in Wanxin City change their expressions, but it also made concubine Lu Yan and Lu Ying's pupils shrink. This is Dewei, a powerful emperor has arrived in Wanxin City. Seeing the changing scene outside the window, concubine Lu Yan murmured solemnly. This breath is not only terrifying, but also very eerie. Let her heart. A strong uneasiness emerged. 80%. Chapter 384 What's going on? This couldn't come at a better time. Gia, an auction. Unexpectedly gathered so many supreme powerhouses, which saved me the trouble of looking for blood. When concubine Lu Yan felt uneasy, along with a harsh voice that echoed between heaven and earth, a blood-red light suddenly appeared in the originally dark sky. A face thousands of feet in size also appeared thousands of feet high in the sky. His eyes were bloodthirsty and cold as he looked down at the entire fantasy city. As long as he devours all the powerful men in this city, his cultivation should be restored to the 6th level of the emperor. It turns out to be the blood-faced demon lord. After this face appeared, an uproar broke out in the entire Wanqin city, and everyone fell into panic. Even concubine Lu Yan and Lu Ying felt their hearts sink to the bottom. Blood-faced demon lord. This is the head of the great demon that ranks 9th on the Eastern Domain's list of sins. No one knows what his real name is. They only know that this man was once the ancestor of the blood demon sect, and his cultivation reached the 6th level of the emperor. In order to break through to the 7th level of the emperor, the blood-faced demon did not hesitate to sacrifice dozens of human cities with blood, which aroused the anger of several great emperor-level forces in the Eastern Domain, causing the blood demon sect to be eradicated by several major forces. However, the blood-faced demon lord relied on his strange skills to escape from death under the siege of several great emperor lords. After disappearing for nearly 100 years, this demonic powerhouse appeared again in the eastern part of profound heaven 10 years ago. In the same cruel way, 21 cities were sacrificed with blood. Wanted by several great emperor-level forces, and ranked among the top 10 on the Eastern Domain's list of crimes. Unexpectedly, this bloodthirsty demon would appear above Wanqin City. Is this a coincidence or is it planned? This is Fantasy Heart City. Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce is the core main city built by the Lu family. Please give the Lu family a face, Lord Demon Lord. While concubine Lu Yan was thinking, a figure appeared thousands of feet high in the sky of Wanqin City with terrifying imperial power. This person, it is Lu Yan, the city lord of Wanqin City, who has the cultivation level of the supreme 8th level and is also a powerful deacon elder of the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. Gia, give the Lu family some face. Do you, the Lu family, deserve it? After hearing Lu Yan's words, the blood-faced demon lord sneered, and his cultivation also exploded at this time. The vast void keeps collapsing. A terrifying flow of flames like a sea of blood, amidst the fierce roars of countless demonic figures. It also fell from a height of 10,000 feet. Defend with all your strength. Seeing the bloody flames falling suddenly from the sky, Lu Yan roared loudly and burst into cultivation. Other strong men also rose into the sky, each of them also bursting with cultivation. A beam of light shone into the sky from the location of the city lord's mansion, and then turned into a protective barrier and enveloped it. This is the city defense formation of Fantasy Heart City, and its grade reaches the supreme grade level. Even a strong person in the 9th level of supreme cannot break through it in a short time. But in front of a strong person in the Emperor realm, this thing is equivalent to a bubble. Almost at the moment of the collision, the defensive formation of Wanqin City exploded like a bubble. Destructive bloody flames, accompanied by the collapse of space. It was like the giant beast in the starry sky opened its maw of the abyss and still swallowed the entire Fantasy Heart City. Thousands of miles around, countless practitioners looked pale and despairing. They just came to Wanqin City to participate in the auction, but they encountered a demon on the list of sins who wanted to sacrifice blood to the city. Damn it, you've lost your luck, right? Facing a strong man in the middle stage of the Emperor realm, even if they all come together, there is absolutely no hope. And right now, concubine Lu Yan, who was originally standing in the wing, tore through the void without any hesitation, and her figure appeared thousands of feet high in the sky. A ray of red light flew out from her hand, and the terrifying imperial power swept across the world. In the explosion of endless red flames, a shield composed entirely of flames enveloped 1,000 miles in an instant. Then it collided with the blood-faced demon's divine ability attack. The roar sounded like rolling thunder, and the terrifying impact caused countless people in Wanqin City to spit out blood and fall down on the spot. The terrifying collision between the Emperor and the Monarch level, even if there is a barrier to block the impact. That kind of terrifying sonic vibration is not something ordinary people can bear. In order to take 3 people to the beach, I had to buy a cruise ship. Sister Zuner was so moved that she wanted me to experience seasickness at night. She was so vicious. Jihyaji, it turns out to be a defensive imperial treasure. It seems that there are important figures from the Lu family in this city. Looking at the red flame shield in front of him, it actually blocked his attack. The blood-faced emperor couldn't help but let out a strange laugh. An imperial treasure that can save lives, even if it is a one-time use. The materials and energy required to refine it are no less than those required to refine a real emperor weapon. So, this thing can protect you. Each one of them is a core inheritance figure in the emperor-level forces. And when the idea of the blood-faced demon lord emerged, in the low sky near the center of Fantasy Heart City, the space suddenly twisted and shattered, and the double-headed magic dragon chariot also rushed out. On the chariot pavilion stood a man and many women. It was Xiao Chen and Lu Ruoxian's group. On top of the two-headed demon dragon puppet, there were several other figures sitting cross-legged, including Tian Xie, Tian Xingjian and others. After a group of people left Taiyan sect, after Xiao Chen glanced at the map handed over by Ling Yuxuan, he let the double-headed magic dragon chariot perform a space jump and rush on his way. Just for a short moment. Then he traveled thousands of miles to the spatial coordinates on the map. But something seems wrong with this situation. What happened? There's a big war happening here. Looking at the sky, a red flame light curtain enveloped the entire city, and beyond the light curtain there were terrifying bloody flames. Xiao Chen and the others felt a little confused in their astonishment. Isn't Fantasy City going to hold an auction? Why did the fighting break out again all of a sudden? This couldn't come at a better time. The blood-faced demon, my Wanbao Lu family has no enmity or grudge against you. Why did you attack my branch of the Lu family? Xiao Chen and his group appeared. A low voice came from the void, and another old face appeared on the red flame shield. And the owner of this face is the ancestor of the Wanbao Liu family. A terrifying and powerful man whose cultivation has reached the 7th level of the emperor. Concubine Lu Yan was the heir he valued, so he refined a defensive imperial treasure so that the opponent could save his life at the critical moment of life and death. There is also a ray of his soul thought sealed on it. If the situation is very critical, his soul thought will be activated. The body will also sense it at that time. If the distance is not too far, he might be able to come to the rescue in person. But Wanxin City is quite far away from the Lu family's ancestral land. Even if he wants to come, it will take at least 30 breaths. So at this time, he could only try to frighten this powerful demonic emperor. Jia, I never need a reason to kill. Blood sacrifices and massacres all depend on my mood. If you want to blame, it's your Lu family's bad luck. After the ancestor of the Lu family finished speaking, the blood-faced demon lord let out a strange laugh, and his cultivation reached its peak at this moment. The bloody flames once again poured down on the city below. The red flame barrier continued to explode during the impact, causing the ancestor of the Lu family to roar. Presumptuous. If you are willing to leave now, I can forget about this. If not, when my true form comes, I will fight you till death. Feeling the explosive power of the blood jade-faced demon, the face of the Lu family ancestor also became distorted, and his words echoed in the void with a chill. But in the face of the warning from the ancestor of the Lu family, the blood-faced demon lord not only did not restrain himself, but instead let out an even more harsh and ferocious laugh. 80%. Chapter 385. It doesn't matter who we are, what matters is. You are going to die soon. Jia, are you threatening me? I like the way you are so anxious but unable to get there in time. Watch them go to hell. In a harsh and cruel smile. The blood-faced demon's cultivation reached its peak, and the demonic figure in the bloody flames kept roaring, and then hit the protective shield fiercely. The roar shook the world in an instant. The scarlet flame protective shield continued to twist and crack under the vibration, and the face condensed by the ancestor of the Lu family also collapsed in an instant. This scene, the pupils of concubine Lu Yan and others below them shrank violently, and a sense of life and death crisis exploded in their hearts. All Supreme Realm experts come closer and be sure to protect Miss Yanfei's safety. In this sense of crisis, Lu Ying yelled at Lu Yan and other Supreme experts, and turned into a stream of light and moved towards concubine Lu Yan. But also at this moment, the bloody-faced demon's devastating attack also completely broke the protective barrier of the Imperial treasure. The bloody flames poured down like the Milky Way pouring down. Concubine Lu Yan spurted a large mouthful of blood from her mouth during the backlash, and her figure was driven by the Emperor Bao. It was smashed downwards. Miss. Seeing concubine Lu Yan falling down, the expressions of Lu Ying, Lu Yan and others changed. Everyone rushed towards concubine Lu Yan. Looking at the situation in front of us, Wanxin City cannot be saved. All they can do now is to protect concubine Lu Yan until the ancestor comes. Miss from the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. And below, seeing concubine Lu Yan falling straight towards them, Xiao Chen used the identification function to glance at concubine Lu Yan. There was a strange look on his face. Unexpectedly, the red-haired woman in front of him would be the heir to the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. Let's put it another way. This is a little rich woman with a walking treasure trove of points. Take action. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen said to Zhang Li, Tian Xingjian and others. No matter who this powerful demonic man is, since the other party wants to wipe out their group in this city together, then the other party can go to hell. Not to mention, a bloodthirsty and cruel emperor and strong man should have a lot of valuables on his body, and he is also a walking treasure trove of points. Boom. Almost as soon as Xiao Chen finished speaking, Lu Ruoxian, who was on the chariot, raised his hand and pressed it into the void. An invisible force. Then he surrounded concubine Lu Yan, causing her to approach the double-headed magic dragon chariot, and finally hovered in front of Xiao Chen and his party. And Zhang Li, Tian Xingjian, and Tian Xie, these three great emperors all took action at the same time. The figure appeared thousands of feet high in the sky, and the terrifying imperial power swept across the world. The vast sea of true energy surged out from several people, and then hit the bloody flames fiercely. The roar echoed like the roar of the sky. The divine ability attack, which is enough to make any supreme-level powerhouse despair, turned out to be as fragile as paper after Zhang Li and others took action. The vast space continued to collapse into nothingness during the impact, and a devastating storm enveloped the world like a doomsday. But fortunately, Zhang Li and others took action. This terrifying impact did not fall into the Wanxin city below, but it caused countless people to collapse to the ground in fear. There was a look on his face that was about to survive a disaster, and his eyes were dull but trembling as he stared at the sky. Don't know though, who was the powerful person who took this action, but they should be saved for the time being. After coming to the underwater world, Sister Zuner said that fish can't survive without water. She is water and I am fish. She wants to nourish me, let me swim into her heart, and let me lick her. Who are you? Seeing the three powerful men appearing in front of him, the blood-faced demon's expression changed drastically. Just as the front foot blasted a projection from the ancestor of the Lu family, three powerful emperors rushed out from below with the back foot. Is this support speed too exaggerated? Certainly. What shocked the blood-faced demon lord most at this time was not the speed of support of these three people, but the fluctuation of their cultivation. Except for one of them, which is a little bit lame, the fluctuation of cultivation level only reaches the third level of the emperor. Two more. The fluctuations in each one's cultivation level are extremely terrifying, no less than when he sacrificed blood to hundreds of millions of people when his cultivation level had just entered the seventh level of the emperor. This made him feel an unprecedented sense of crisis. Jia, it doesn't matter who we are, the important thing is, you are going to die soon. Hearing the words of the blood-faced demon lord, Tian Xie let out a ferocious laugh. The body was surrounded by terrifying dark soul fire, and the next moment it was heading towards the blood-faced demon to kill him. Tian Xingjian and Zhang Li didn't talk nonsense, and each used divine ability to kill the blood-faced demon. The void keeps vibrating. Thousands of miles around were blocked by layers of magic lines, completely cutting off the blood-faced demon's hope of escaping. This made the blood-faced demon couldn't help roaring. The Wanggu family is behind me. If you dare to touch me, you will have to face the wrath of the Jun family. Just an interview room. He was seriously injured by the three people working together, if they didn't pull out a backstage. I'm afraid he will really die here today. Huang Gujun's family. After hearing the roar of the blood-faced demon lord, Tian Xingjian's expression couldn't help but change. This is the true overlord power of the Eastern domain. From ancient times to the present, the overall power is stronger than that of the Wangyu ancient clan. Is the Jun family behind the devil in front of me? Don't listen to his nonsense, kill him as quickly as possible. And try to keep the body intact and don't give the other party a chance to self-destruct. When Tian Xingjian's heart was shaking, Xiao Chen's voice suddenly rang out, which made Tian Xingjian's mind tremble. He also realized that the blood-faced demon lord might be pretending to be powerful. As this thought came to an end, Tian Xingjian sacrificed his life, emperor weapon, and headed towards the blood-faced demon to kill him again. Zhang Li and Tian Xie did not hold back, and divine ability capsized again. This made the blood-faced demon lord roar in despair. He never imagined that he would be entrusted by the Juntian Chamber of Commerce to come and destroy Wanxin City. As a result, he was attacked by several powerful great emperors. This made him a little suspicious. Are the people from Juntian Chamber of Commerce trying to kill him with the help of these great emperors? But no matter what the reason was at this time, he had no chance to think about it anymore. In the hysterical roar, the blood-faced demon lord was overwhelmed by several divine abilities on the spot, and his life breath also rapidly weakened in the storm. This shocking transformation in just 2 or 3 breaths also made concubine Lu Yan, Lu Ying and others dumbfounded. I thought that this time there was no chance of death, and there was basically no chance of life at all. Unexpectedly, several great emperors suddenly appeared and not only saved everyone in Wanxin City, but also forced the blood-faced demon to a desperate end. It's all just like a dream. Don't kill me, I am willing to surrender. Ah, no. Before concubine Lu Yan and others could recover, the roar of the blood-faced demon lord came again in the void. But before the other party finished speaking, a bright dark purple light erupted from the sky, which was also mixed with the blood-faced demon's shrill roar. Next moment, with the sudden arrival of this roar, the sky-shattering roar sounded again in the void. A terrifying black hole collapsed thousands of feet high in the sky. Immediately afterwards, the terrifying storm impact seemed to be suppressed by some force. It gradually subsided before it completely raged. This scene, everyone in Wanxin City was stunned. Obviously, the blood-faced demon lord who wanted to destroy Wanxin City just now was killed by several great emperor lords in just a few breaths. If you haven't seen this with your own eyes, how could they dare to believe that a powerful emperor-level man could fall so easily? 80%. Chapter 386. I saved your lives, so it's not too much to accept a little reward, right? It seems that today, the points may exceed 10 billion. Watching the storm above gradually subside, Xiao Chen also had a smile on his face. This time, he originally just wanted to buy supplies, but he didn't expect to encounter a demon who wanted to sacrifice blood to the city. This way, but you can use the topic to your advantage and harvest a wave of resources. Lord Demon Lord, this is the remnant body of that guy, as well as part of his remnant soul. When Xiao Chen's thoughts fell, the true essence of Tianxi wrapped around the corpse of the blood-faced demon, and the other hand condensed a black mist, which bound the remaining soul of the blood-faced demon. Several people appeared after their figures appeared. This caused the pupils of concubine Lu Yan and others to shrink violently, and the hairs on each of them could not help but stand up. A group of them. It was almost the first time for them to see the emperor fall and die so simply before their eyes. This kind of spiritual impact is simply difficult to describe in words. Well done. Xiao Chen glanced at the words and put away the body of the blood-faced demon. As for the remnant soul, seeing Tian Xia's extremely eager look, Xiao Chen did not take away the remnant soul after thinking about it. Instead, let Tianxi devour and refine it on his own. After doing all this, Xiao Chen looked at concubine Lu Yan and her group, and the corners of his mouth curved slightly. Are any of you surprised? The words that were like a spring breeze echoed in the world, causing concubine Lu Yan and others to look slightly stunned. Thank you very much, Master, for saving me. Concubine Yan would like to thank you here. After coming back to his senses, concubine Lu Yan immediately bowed to Xiao Chen, and then wanted to take off the ring on her hand. But, because she had just been severely injured by the backlash of the Emperor's treasure, the slightest movement at this time would cause injuries in her body. A mouthful of blood couldn't help but spurt out. You are hurt. This young master will treat you. Seeing concubine Lu Yan's badly injured look, a strange color flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes, and he came to the other party while speaking. Next moment, then he raised his hand and tapped the other person's shoulder. This scene, it shocked Lu Ying and the others, who were obviously confused about this young master. Why are you so proactive? Could it be that this is a good man who is full of righteousness, kindness and compassion? But when everyone's expressions changed, Xiao Chen's finger was already on concubine Lu Yan's shoulder, and with a flash of white light, the other party's injuries instantly recovered as before. Such a magical change. Concubine Lu Yan couldn't help but widen her eyes, with a look of disbelief on her face. In the blink of an eye, it repaired the injuries she suffered just now, and even repaired the old injuries and hidden diseases in her body. Such a miraculous method. Even the ancestor of the clan couldn't do it. Who is this young master? Okay, hand over the things. Xiao Chen didn't care what these people were thinking, and casually treated concubine Lu Yan to show his mystery and power. he said calmly. This sentence fell. Concubine Lu Yan and others were confused. Hand over your stuff. What? This young master saved your lives. Isn't it too much to accept a little reward? Seeing that concubine Lu Yan and others didn't react, Xiao Chen added something very gentle, making Lu Ying and others feel their scalps numb. There is such an operation. Directly and legitimately asking for rewards. Isn't this kind of eating look too ugly? After hearing what we said, classmate Medusa and her sister-in-law said that fish cannot be happy without water, so why don't they let these fishes feel the joy of water? Are you crazy? Jia, are you unwilling? Seeing the shocked faces of Lu Ying and others, Tian Xie suddenly laughed strangely from the side. That evil aura also spread quietly. It seemed that if Lu Ying and others dared to refuse, he would take action without hesitation. After all, he is the Lord Demon Lord's loyal dog, and no one can disobey the Lord Demon Lord. Saving someone's life is a greater gift than heaven. Since the young master is interested in these external things, then what's the harm in concubine Yan giving them to the young master? With that said, concubine Lu Yan took off a ring from her hand and brought it to Xiao Chen's eyes. Even the imperial treasure that was used to save his life just now was given away without hesitation at this moment. This scene, Lu Ying, Lu Yan and others all exclaimed, obviously not expecting concubine Lu Yan to be so willing. Just give him the cashier ring. Concubine Lu Yan could give away even the life-saving imperial treasure refined by the ancestor of the Lu family without hesitation. Isn't this because I'm obsessed? Could it be possible that this young master did something secretly when he was helping concubine Lu Yan treat her injury just now? What are you still doing? Didn't you hear what the young master said? When Lu Ying, Lu Yan and others were suspicious, concubine Lu Yan said something in a low voice. This is a mysterious figure who can easily mobilize several emperors, and even has incredible healing methods. If we can win them over to the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce, the value that can be created in the future is simply unimaginable. Not to mention, their lives are still under the control of Xiao Chen and his team. So whatever the other party wants, they can only give it to them. This is the way to survive. After hearing concubine Lu Yan's words, Lu Ying, Lu Yan and others' expressions froze, and they all realized the crux of the problem. Then, without any hesitation, they took off the rings one by one. After a flash of physical pain flashed in his eyes, everything was handed over to Xiao Chen's hands. These are not enough. After receiving the gifts from several people, Xiao Chen glanced briefly and said something in a low voice. The words fell. The expressions of Lu Ying, Lu Yan and others changed drastically. They have handed over all their wealth, and the other party actually says that this is not enough. Is it possible to ask them to sell their bodies? I want everything in your auction. While several people were making random guesses, Xiao Chen looked up at concubine Lu Yan and added calmly. What? Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Lu Ying, Lu Yan and others were shocked. What's the difference between this and taking advantage of someone's situation? Of course, I won't do it too harshly and will pay you some spiritual crystals. Seeing the drastic changes in the expressions of Lu Ying, Lu Yan and others, Xiao Chen waved his hand and added. Young master, you're welcome. If it hadn't been for the rescue of young master and his party this time, not to mention this Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce branch, even the entire Fantasy Heart City would have been reduced to rubble. With such kindness, not to mention wanting something from the branch, even if you want the entire Fantasy Heart City, concubine Yan can give it to the young master on behalf of the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. As for the spiritual crystals, these are external possessions and cannot compare to the kindness of the young master. Why is concubine Yan so embarrassed to accept it? After Xiao Chen finished speaking, concubine Lu Yan showed a charming smile and answered energetically. Miss, these shocking words once again confused Lu Ying and others. Concubine Lu Yan is definitely fascinated by Xiao Chen. Otherwise, how could such prodigal words without regard for the interests of the Chamber of Commerce come from the mouth of this young lady? Just give away all your wealth and imperial treasures, now even the Chamber of Commerce branches and even the city. They all want to give it to Xiao Chen without accepting any gift in return. Next step. Do you want to package up the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce and even your own body and give it away? You are a woman with brains and courage. After Xiao Chen heard what concubine Lu Yan said, he looked at her with strange eyes. Such courage. Even Ziluo is slightly inferior. After all, when Ziluo met him for the first time, after realizing how extraordinary he was, she just let Li trade with him. And concubine Lu Yan. But he just asked to give it away, and he also wanted to give it a city. This woman is, well, very lovable. You can drink it. Ahem. Young master has saved our lives, and it is understandable for us to pay for it. But with so many people in Fantasy Heart City, and our myriad treasures Chamber of Commerce giving so much, isn't it a bit too? While Xiao Chen was admiring concubine Lu Yan on the side gritted his teeth and finally couldn't help but speak. These words fell. Concubine Lu Yan's expression changed slightly, and Xiao Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. 80%. Chapter 387. Why are there a few more emperors now that the person is gone? You reminded me, you really can't do this. After Xiao Chen was stunned for a moment, the corner of his mouth curled up and he looked towards the city below. Then he whispered to Tian Xie. Since my friends from the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce feel that my young master's behavior is unfair, let's treat them equally. Let the people below also hand over a share of resources, and it will be considered as their reward. Of course, for those ordinary cultivators, just a little thought will be enough. But for those cultivators above Saint Realm, well, just leave them some pants. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Lu Ying and others were stunned. I didn't expect Xiao Chen to be so crisp and clear. After Lu Yan protested, he actually wanted to blackmail everyone. If those people knew about it, they would all be slaughtered because of Lu Yan's talkativeness. I'm just afraid that I would like to eat Lu Yan alive. Old slave understands. After hearing what Xiao Chen said, Tian Xie also showed a look of excitement on his face. The next moment, he turned around and looked down at Wanxin City below, and the emperor's power swept away like a storm. Jia, everyone in Wanxin City listen to me. Just now, there was a demon who wanted to sacrifice blood to the city. It was because of our kindness that we, the demon lord, ordered us to save you. Now that the disaster has passed, you have survived. If you are sensible, just hand over a resource honestly as a reward for your survival this time. You are ignorant, I don't mind sending you to meet that devil. Wow, almost as soon as these words were spoken, Wanxin City completely exploded. Many practitioners raised their heads in disbelief. Obviously not expecting it. The front foot had just escaped from the tiger's mouth, and the back foot suddenly fell into the wolf's den. By blackmailing weaklings like them without any limit, these powerful emperors must have gone crazy because of poverty, right? Devil, how dare you? And just when the power of the evil spirits enveloped the entire Wanxin city, the sky suddenly changed, and the old voice sounded like thunder. A figure carrying a monstrous evil spirit descended into the void in an instant. This made many cultivators in Wanxin City look shocked. Could it be that some powerful emperor couldn't stand this kind of behavior and planned to help them get rid of the threat? Great-grandpa, stop, they are not enemies. Just when that figure came towards Xiao Chen and his group to suppress them with terrifying pressure. Concubine Lu Yan also recognized the person and shouted loudly at this moment. This person, it was Lu Qingtian, the ancestor of the Lu family. A terrifying being whose cultivation has reached the 7th level of the emperor, he is also the highest authority in the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. He is a well-known strong man in profound heaven. After experiencing the joy of having sex with fish and water, I said I wanted to take it easy. Medusa was worried and asked me not to get involved with women. Not long after, I saw someone drowning. Not an enemy. After hearing concubine Lu Yan's words, Lu Qingtian appeared in the void and looked at Xiao Chen and concubine Lu Yan's group in astonishment. He remembers. Didn't the Blood Jade Demon Lord want to destroy everyone in Wanxin City just now? Why is it that now that the people are gone, there are still a few more emperors? The situation was very critical just now. Fortunately, this young master and his friends came to help, and we were able to survive the blood-faced demon. Seeing Lu Qingtian's surprised and uncertain face, concubine Lu Yan quickly explained. This made Lu Qingtian look shocked. He thought that this time, he would be unable to catch up with the support and could only collect the corpses and seek revenge for concubine Lu Yan and others. Unexpectedly, after his projection was shattered, concubine Lu Yan and others would be rescued by others. This is the greatest blessing among misfortunes. What about the blood-faced demon? Feeling a little surprised in his heart, Lu Qingtian quickly asked. This devil, but he is one of the top 10 strong men on the list of heavenly sins. Now that he actually wants to destroy the Lu family's branch, he can't let him go easily. If not, there will never be peace in the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. The blood-faced demon lord has been killed by young master and the others. Concubine Lu Yan heard the words and answered truthfully. Wah! What? The blood-faced demon was killed. Hearing concubine Lu Yan's words, Lu Qingtian's expression changed drastically. He looked at Xiao Chen and others in disbelief. Blood-faced demon lord. At his peak, he was an existence that broke through to the 7th level of the emperor, even though he was severely injured by several great emperors later and his cultivation level dropped. Nowadays, there are also those who have cultivated to the 5th level of the emperor. And he took less than 30 breaths from the time of the accident to the time of his arrival. This great demon head of the Eastern Domain, who was famous in the Eastern Domain, was actually killed. Isn't it too ridiculous? When the thought fell, Lu Qingtian looked at Xiao Chen and his group, and then his pupils couldn't help but shrink. Are you Tian Xingzhan, the sect leader of the Great Desolate Sect in Qingshuan Realm? The first time he saw Tian Xingzhan, Lu Qingtian recognized him on the spot. If he remembered correctly, 58 years ago, the two met once, but they didn't expect to meet again now. President Lu has a good memory. I didn't expect that 58 years ago, I came to profound heaven. You still remember it. Tian Xingzhan smiled lightly when he heard this, but he didn't exchange too many greetings. When Lu Qingtian heard this, he also looked at the others, but he didn't recognize Zhongli or Tian Xie. But after seeing Lu Ruoxian, Lu Qingtian's pupils suddenly shrank, and a look of shock appeared on his face. Is it you? More than 400 years ago. He entered the 100 Beasts mountain range, intending to capture a plant spirit to see if he could advance his cultivation one step closer. Unexpectedly, Lu Ruoxian noticed it and the opponent came out from the depths of the 100 Beasts mountain range. In less than 10 rounds, he was injured. He was forced to flee in embarrassment. Fortunately, Lu Ruoxian didn't chase him out at that time, otherwise he would have been seriously injured even if he didn't die. And because of this incident, for nearly 100 years, he did not dare to set foot in the 100 Beasts mountain range again to hunt for treasures, just because he was afraid of being beaten up by Lu Ruoxian again. I didn't expect. More than 300 years ago, a shocking battle took place in the 100 Beasts mountains, and Lu Shen also died according to rumors. This actually made him feel a little sorry. After all, the other party is not only a magnificent empress, but also a rare 10,000-year-old plant spirit in the world. But now, he unexpectedly saw this person again, and the other person was still intact, and he didn't look weak at all. Great-grandpa, do you know the young master and the others? Seeing Lu Qingtian's face as if he had seen a ghost, concubine Lu Yan asked curiously. We have met several times. Hear concubine Lu Yan's words. And seeing Lu Ruoxian Jiyu Jing Wubo's eyes, Lu Qingtian calmed down and said with some complexity. Not sure though. Why is Lu Ruoxian not dead yet? But looking at the other party at this time, he no longer cares about what happened back then. In addition, there were several powerful great emperors in front of him, so there were some things that he did not dare to mention casually, lest there would be any conflicts among the group. Old Lu Qingtian, thank you all for your help. If you don't mind, sit down at the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce later and I will personally make tea for you. When the thought fell, Lu Qingtian clasped his fists and said. After saying that, Lu Qingtian seemed to have remembered something, and said a little doubtfully at this moment. Since the blood-faced demon lord has been killed by several people, why did he still look like he was facing a formidable enemy just now? After the words fell, Lu Qingtian's expression became a little solemn. Among these people, there was a man and a woman, both of whom were filled with demonic aura. They looked like they were powerful demons. Is it possible that these people also want to harm the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce? Ancestor, they not only blackmailed our group, they also plan to blackmail everyone in Wanxin City. After Lu Qingtian finished speaking, Lu Yan from behind gritted his teeth and explained to the former through a voice transmission. This made Lu Qingtian's expression change. 80%. Chapter 388 Little friend, let's have a fight, otherwise it will be difficult to explain. Blackmail. How many emperors would blackmail a group of weaklings, or even everyone in the city? Isn't it a bit too cheap? Lu Qingtian did not get angry when he heard this, but glanced at Xiao Chen and others, and asked concubine Lu Yan beside him. Concubine Yan, have you been blackmailed? As these words reached concubine Lu Yan's ears, the latter glanced at Lu Yan next to her. I understood immediately. It should be this miser who snitched on the ancestor. Young master was very helpful to us and even helped me heal my injuries. It's only natural to give him some extraneous things. After hearing Lu Qingtian's words, concubine Lu Yan also spoke. In her opinion, if she can make friends with Xiao Chen, what she will give her back in the future will not be comparable to these things. I saved their lives. Is it too much to ask for a little reward? Just when several people were communicating secretly, Xiao Chen glanced at a few people, seemed to notice something, and asked in a calm voice. This sentence, concubine Lu Yan and others' expressions changed slightly, and they all noticed that Xiao Chen seemed a little dissatisfied. Ha ha ha, saving a life is like rekindling a life with kindness. There is nothing wrong with what the young master did. Lu Qingtian laughed when he heard this and responded a little carelessly. There are several emperors in front of you. There is one person who can be on an equal footing with him, there is one person that he cannot see through yet, and there is another person, who was once famous in the eastern domain. It is not cost-effective to offend him for a small profit. Since there is nothing wrong, let's continue. Xiao Chen waved his hand after hearing this and gave instructions to Tian Xie. Then his eyes fell on Lu Qingtian, and a strange color flashed deep in his eyes. Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce, the ancestor of the Lu family, this is another big fat sheep. Jia, 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 I obey my orders. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Tian Xie no longer had any scruples, and the power of Xie Yuan exploded into the sky. The terrifying magic power once again enveloped the entire fantasy city. Jia, 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 the people below, please listen to me. My patience is limited. If you don't hand it over, I will have to come and get it myself. As Tianxi's words resounded throughout Wanxin City, uproar once again broke out in the city. Didn't the ancestor of the Lu family come? That devil still dares to blackmail us. What happened? What happened in the sky? Why can the devil be allowed to run rampant? Almost instantly, various doubts resounded throughout the city. Most of them are powerful people who come to participate in the auction, and their controversy is the greatest at this time. After all, they carry a lot of spiritual crystals and treasures with them. If they were blackmailed like this, the losses would be extremely heavy. Ancestor, the noise you made just now was too great, and it has attracted the attention of everyone below. If they are allowed to extort money in Fantasy Heart City, it will cause irreparable damage to the reputation of our Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. Hearing the uproar below, Lu Yan spoke again. If the powerful men from other forces knew that the Lu family was indifferent to this kind of thing after the ancestor came, the business reputation of Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce will suffer a devastating blow. It's a real risk. Lu Qingtian nodded when he heard this and looked at Xiao Chen and others. Little friend, let's have a fight, otherwise it won't be easy to explain. As these words fell, Lu Qingtian's cultivation exploded, and the emperor's power immediately swept across the world. Demon Thief, Fantasy Heart City is the territory of the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. How can I allow a young boy like you to act so arrogantly here? The words echoed like a thunderstorm. Lu Qingtian's body shone with scorching light, and the void seemed to have an extra round of terrifying sun. Next moment, in the Wangwang Emperor's power, an ancient golden hand condensed with red gold flames. Then he took a picture of Xiao Chen and his group, and the void exploded at this moment. That kind of apocalyptic terrifying offensive made countless people in Wanxin City change their expressions. The fight started again. If such a terrifying attack fell into Wanxin City, they would really be in trouble. Adhering to the principle of saving lives and healing the wounded, I performed artificial respiration on the drowning victim. Unexpectedly, when the victim woke up, she said her name was Bo Saishi and that she would give her life in return. This. Xiao Chen didn't say anything when he heard this, he just raised his hand and made a gesture. Obviously, he also understood what Lu Qingtian meant. Fantasy Heart City is the territory of Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. If the opponent comes but does not take action, the reputation of Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce will be ruined. But after taking action, but if they can't do anything about them, then the matter can be discussed separately. Boring. Zhang Li and Tian Xingjian were both smart people, and they immediately understood their intentions. After the former muttered, both of them took action together. The power of the magic pattern and the power of desolation raged in the void, and the two divine abilities faced the big golden flame hand together. Boom! Along with the roaring explosion, the big golden flame hand was exploded on the spot. Lu Qingtian was blown away and a mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth. The words echoed in the void with great horror. 8th level of Emperor. This moment, Lu Qingtian wasn't pretending, he was really scared. Zhang Li didn't have any cultivation or adjust now. He thought that the other party was only a middle-level emperor, and his cultivation was at the 6th or 7th level of the emperor at most. Did not expect. The other party turned out to be the 8th level emperor. With such a level of cultivation, looking at the entire eastern domain, it is extremely terrifying. But he couldn't recognize the other person. Where did this transcendent level powerhouse come from? A 7th level emperor, an 8th level emperor, no matter who you are, if you dare to destroy Wanxin City, I will definitely join forces with other forces to issue a wanted order against you. When I was shocked, Lu Qingtian roared loudly, then collapsed the void and left directly. This scene, all the cultivators in Wanxin City below were stunned. One emperor is at the 8th level, another is at the 7th level, and there is a demon who speaks. There are 3 powerful men in the emperor realm. The ancestors of the Lu family were forced to flee. If they didn't obey, wouldn't they be wiped out with a snap of their fingers? Jia, the nosy guy is gone. Do you want to hand over your things or hand over your lives? After Lu Qingtian ran away, Tian Xie looked down again and smiled ferociously. The soul thoughts are locked on the bodies of many supreme powerhouses in the city. These people, they are all competitors who come to participate in the auction, and they also have the most spiritual crystal resources. Sir, we hand over the reward. When the sense of life and death crisis broke out, many supreme experts said one after another. One by one, they took off their storage rings. Jia, this is right. You should be lucky that you only lost some of your possessions, but you were able to survive by chance. This is a bloody profit. After accepting the ring from these powerful men, Tian Xie couldn't help but laugh strangely. He was truly a big villain. These strong men dare not speak out in anger, but some people agree with it. After all, if these people hadn't come to save them just now, they would have died in the hands of the blood-faced demon lord. Miss Lu Family Chamber of Commerce, it's time for you to hand over something. When many cultivators in the city were suffering from extremely heavy headaches, Xiao Chen's deep voice also echoed in the world. This made many people raise their heads with sympathy on their faces. Relative to them, Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce may suffer a lot of bleeding this time. Even if the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce is a big business, having a core branch robbed is still a traumatic loss. Thank you, sir. Young master, please move to the Chamber of Commerce. When concubine Lu Yan heard Xiao Chen's words, she looked at Xiao Chen gratefully. This simple sentence. In addition, Lu Qingtian was defeated and retreated, which was enough to clear the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce from suspicion. Like everyone else, he is a victim, and he has suffered the most. 81%. Chapter 389. My little friend, your wife was really ruthless just now. After concubine Lu Yan finished speaking, the group of people did not linger in the void and fell directly into the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. Tian Xie, on the other hand, started to collect supplies in the city with a grin on his face. There was a powerful emperor who took action to exploit him personally, and even those in the supreme realm did not dare to resist. So, he can just wait quietly in the Chamber of Commerce. Aunt Ying, bring all the items from this auction, as well as all the materials in the Chamber of Commerce's inventory, to the young master. After entering the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce branch, concubine Lu Yan was very straightforward and gave Lu Ying instructions. This made Lu Ying and Lu Yan's expressions change slightly, but they didn't say anything more in the end. After all, even the ancestor of the Lu family acquiesced. Even if they felt sorry for the Lu family's little fortune, they didn't dare to say anything more at this juncture. After the thought falls, Lu Ying disappeared into the Chamber of Commerce hall and went to the auction backstage to take out the auction items. Just after the fact, the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce still has to spend some time settling the owners of these consignments. Sir, we've been chatting for a long time, and I still don't know what your name is. After instructing Lu Ying to go get the supplies, concubine Lu Yan looked at Xiao Chen with a smile. Such a handsome young master is accompanied by several powerful great emperors and even a large group of confidant. Concubine Lu Yan was really curious about the origin of this young master. My name is Xiao Chen. After hearing concubine Lu Yan's words, Xiao Chen responded with a smile. However, Xiao Chen did not explain his specific origin at this time. After all, there are many people here. Although concubine Lu Yan has a good impression of him now, she should try not to make it public if there is no need to say it, so as to avoid any bloody plot of stealing a house. Ha ha ha, little friend, your wife was really cruel just now. My old bones were almost torn apart. Just as Xiao Chen was communicating with concubine Lu Yan, Lu Qingtian's figure also appeared in the hall as an old voice sounded. As soon as he appeared, he seemed to be familiar with him. He immediately smiled and greeted Xiao Chen politely. But before he finished speaking, the atmosphere in the hall suddenly turned cold. Zhang Li glanced over faintly. I am not his wife. As he said these words, Lu Qingtian's face froze slightly, and the hairs all over his body stood up. These words, why does it sound so resentful? Also, if he remembered correctly, the powerful heavenly demon clan just called Xiao Chen the demon lord. And this woman, the first time I opened my mouth it was Ben Hu. Isn't this queen the demon queen? Isn't this the other party's wife? No, the devil queen. When his thoughts were turning, Lu Qingtian seemed to have thought of something and stared at Zhang Li. Are you the demon queen of the North Territory, Zhang Li? After taking a deep breath, Lu Qingtian asked in a trembling voice, with an expression that was 3 parts surprised and 7 parts certain. This heart-stopping demonic aura, and the demonic powerhouse who calls himself. And she's still a woman. Looking at the entire Eastern domain, there is no one who has the cultivation level of the 8th level emperor. And in the Northern Territory, there happened to be a female devil who matched this woman very well. There's just a slight difference in cultivation, but cultivation is subject to change. Maybe it's because of the injuries suffered back then that haven't recovered yet. The most important thing is that more than 4,000 years ago, when Zhang Li was sealed and shocked the Northern Territory, he received information and saw the image of the other party. Although the memory is a bit blurry. But this face and this figure are indeed inexplicably familiar. I didn't expect to meet this person in Eastern Domain. He is a powerful great emperor. It is much stronger than him. When I was feeling embarrassed, a business card fell out and it said, Bo Saishi, Provincial Diving Champion. In an instant I understood that she was lusting after my body. I can't believe that after more than 4,000 years, there are still people who remember me. After hearing Lu Qingtian's words and seeing the shocked look on his face, Zhang Li's expression returned to calm. After replying lightly, showing the demeanor of a devil queen, Zhang Li glanced at Xiao Chen. It seems to be saying, did you see it? All the magic power of this queen has spread to the Eastern Domain, which shows how majestic this queen was back then. But after looking away, he saw Xiao Chen speechless. Such an expression of wanting to be beaten. Zhang Li's anger suddenly surged, and her fists couldn't help but be clenched at this moment. Dog man, one day, I will make you kneel in front of me, and then, and then, well, hee. Why are you laughing? Seeing Zhang Li suddenly showing him an evil smile, Xiao Chen asked confused. This smile, why does it feel even more evil than Tian Xia's smile? Is the other party trying to get Xiao Laoer's idea? Why do you care what I'm laughing at? When Zhang Li heard this, she suppressed her smile and turned her head proudly. This kind of action, which looked a little like a little girl's, made Lu Qingtian on the side couldn't help but widen his eyes. The majestic demon queen of the Northern Territory. She actually showed herself like a little girl and said she was not this guy's woman. What a liar. At this thought, Lu Qingtian stared at Xiao Chen in surprise, with a hint of curiosity and solemnity in his eyes. It's scary enough to have Lu Shen by your side, but I didn't expect that there was also the long-missing demon queen of the Northern Territory. Who is this young master? Miss, all the resources of the Chamber of Commerce branch are here. When Lu Qingtian's eyes flickered, Lu Ying also returned to the Chamber of Commerce hall. Sir, these are all yours. Concubine Lu Yan took the ring and handed it to Xiao Chen with her backhand. That casual look. It seems that this Nai ring contains not resources but a pile of garbage. Seeing Lu Yan and others, the corners of their mouths couldn't help but twitch. Well, I'll accept it then. Xiao Chen nodded when he heard the words, raised his hand to take the ring, and his soul thought swept through the ring. Inside the ring, countless resources and items are piled up, and there are not many high-level items among them. This made Xiao Chen's eyes light up slightly. Next moment, without any hesitation, Xiao Chen ordered all items to be recycled. Ding! The system has recovered all designated items. Congratulations to the host for earning 780 million points. After hearing this prompt from the system, Xiao Chen couldn't help but stare. With just one branch of the Chamber of Commerce, plus all the auction items, he could almost catch up with the sect's heritage that Taiyan sect had entrusted to him. The Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce is indeed a big business. The points are already 8 billion, and there are still 2 billion points left. After glancing at the properties panel, Xiao Chen's eyes couldn't help but flicker. Lord Demon Lord, my subordinates have collected the resources handed over by the many ants in the city for you. When Xiao Chen's thoughts fell, Tian Xia's figure appeared and he offered a Nai ring as he spoke. Xiao Chen heard this and took the Naji, and took it back as usual. The system beep sounded again in my ears. It also caused his points value to soar to 8.7 billion points. It's still a little worse. After seeing this number, Xiao Chen frowned and took back the items in the blood-faced demon lord's ring. However, this powerful demonic man was wanted and was hunted down. He had been injured for many years and even his cultivation had not fully recovered. The good things in the ring were really pitiful. After all the things were recovered, more than 600 million points were obtained, which was even poorer than the Taiyan sect. This made Xiao Chen feel a little speechless. A powerful demon who behaved like this really deserved to be slaughtered. The total points are a little over 9.4 billion, and there are still 600 million points left to upgrade. In mutterings, Xiao Chen's eyes fell on Lu Qingtian, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. President of the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce. This is a big fat sheep. If you kill an opponent casually, you should get more than 600 million points. 81%. Chapter 390 10 billion points reached, ready to upgrade the system. Little friend, why are you looking at me like this? After seeing Xiao Chen take the ring, he tossed it over and over again, and finally his eyes fell on him. Lu Qingtian felt a little baffled. This look. It was as if he was the opponent's prey, which made him feel awkward all over. You won't live long. After staring at Lu Qingtian for a while, Xiao Chen said calmly. The words fell into the hall like thunder. Not only did Lu Qingtian's body suddenly stiffen, but it also caused Lu Yanfei and others' pupils to shrink violently. Ancestor. Doesn't live long. If this is true, this is unimaginably bad news for the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce and the Lu family. Impossible. How could Ancestor? Overly excited, Lu Yan immediately retorted. But before he finished speaking, Lu Qingtian raised his hand to stop him. Why do you say that, little friend? After controlling the micro-expression on his face, Lu Qingtian asked in a low voice. He is a powerful person at the 7th level of the Emperor. If he tried his best to hide himself, even a strong person in the 9th level of the Emperor would have a hard time seeing through his physical condition. He doesn't believe it. The Xiao Chen in front of him could completely see through his physical condition just by looking at him a few times. You have lived for more than 6,500 years, and your lifespan is approaching its limit. In addition, the old hidden wounds in your body have decayed and solidified. Even if you use your cultivation to seal these hidden wounds, it will only keep you alive for a few more decades. Xiao Chen said calmly when he heard the words. For the strong human beings. Saint King level experts have lifespans ranging from more than 1,000 to 3,000, Supreme level experts have lifespans ranging from 3,000 to 5,000, and Emperor level experts have lifespans ranging from 5,000 to 9,000. Yuan. The reason why Lu Ruoxian can live for tens of thousands of years is because the other party is the spirit of vegetation, and his lifespan is 2 or 3 times that of the human race. And Lu Qingtian, the cultivation level has reached the 7th level of the Emperor, and living for 7,000 years is the limit. However, due to experiencing too many fights, there are more or less hidden wounds in the body. To some extent, it will also affect your own longevity. Therefore, the opponent can only live for more than 6,600 years if he dies. This is the limit that he can reach in his current state. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Lu Qingtian's face was full of horror. Except for himself, no one in the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce and the Lu family knew his specific longevity. And Xiao Chen can not only tell his age, but also how long he can live. Isn't this kind of vision too perverted? My ancestor really has only a few days left. Concubine Lu Yan, Lu Ying and others all turned pale after seeing Lu Qingtian's reaction. Since the young master speaks like this, is it possible that there is a way to delay the longevity of our ancestors? Thinking that Xiao Chen could heal her injuries in an instant, concubine Lu Yan raised her head and asked with hope. This is not difficult. As long as we help him repair his hidden injuries, cleanse his marrow and cut his veins to improve his talents, if he breaks through to the 9th level of the Emperor in the future, it won't be a problem to live to 9,000 years old. Xiao Chen nodded when he heard this and said calmly. As he spoke, Xiao Chen changed his tone and continued to add. Of course, there is no free lunch in the world, you have to pay something. Repair hidden injuries, improve talents, and break through to the 9th level of the Emperor. Before Xiao Chen finished speaking, Lu Qingtian was already shocked. If you dare to say such words in an understatement, either this person is not a fool or a lunatic, or he is a godlike existence. Obviously, with transcendent level experts like Lu Ruoxian and Zhong Li following him, there is no way the other party is a lunatic who can only talk nonsense. So Xiao Chen really has such a method. After hearing me call her a liar, Bo Saishi asked me, "Do you remember Fat Xiaoxi who wrote me a love letter? Now she is back as the weight loss king, and I am her prey. Mr. Xiao, I am just a commoner. I only have these external things. I wonder if they can satisfy you." When the thoughts fall in my mind, Lu Qingtian didn't ask what the price would be, and just took off the ring from his hand very smoothly. He handed it to Xiao Chen with a wave of his hand. Judging from the situation in which Xiao Chen blackmailed everyone in Wanxin City, the other party's demand for resources and items must be quite terrifying. But if resources and items can be used to prevent him from becoming a slave, it's also a pretty good deal. As expected of the president of the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce, he is indeed courageous. Seeing Lu Qingtian's action, Xiao Chen's eyes lit up slightly, and he raised his hand to take the ring. After appreciating the other person, his sole thought was absorbed in Naji. The mountains of resources and items inside also came to mind at this moment. Make a rough estimate. Excluding the spiritual crystals inside, the other resource items should be worth 1 billion points. And this should only be part of Lu Qingtian's net worth. He is indeed the ancestor of the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce, and his net worth is just a few blocks ahead of the blood-faced demon. When the thought came to an end, Xiao Chen also gave the order. Ding! The system has recovered all designated items. Congratulations to the host for earning 1,050 million points. As the system prompt tone fell, Xiao Chen's face showed a hint of excitement, and it was exactly as he expected. Join with this point, his current points balance has reached more than 10.4 billion points. Within 2 days of coming to Eastern Domain, my points reached tens of billions. Upgrading the system this time is easier than imagined. It is really fun to have a bunch of strong people around to do things. I wonder if my friend is satisfied with my sincerity. Seeing the change in Xiao Chen's expression, Lu Qingtian coughed dryly and asked. Although this is only part of his net worth, it can still crush the average Emperor realm powerhouse. He didn't believe it. These things still can't impress Xiao Chen. Well enough. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this, not too greedy. Now that the points have exceeded the 10 billion mark, his need for resources is not great. While talking, Xiao Chen stepped in front of Lu Qingtian, raised his right hand and tapped on the other person's shoulder. As the system prompt tone fell, a burst of white light shone. The old wounds and diseases in Lu Qingtian's body disappeared in an instant. Even the talent has been upgraded from monarch level to monarch level supreme grade. This made Lu Qingtian stunned, unable to believe the sudden change in his body. How is this possible? With just a slight click, the deep-seated wounds in my body disappeared in an instant. And this talent? What exactly is this method? Feeling the changes in his body and the signs of a breakthrough in his cultivation, Lu Qingtian suddenly raised his head at this moment. There was excitement and enthusiasm on his face. God, this young master is definitely a god. No wonder Lu Shen and the Northern Demon Queen were willing to follow him. There are such means. Even if a dog leash is tied around his neck, he is still willing to follow Xiao Chen. I'll let you use the Chamber of Commerce. Don't disturb me until I come out. When Lu Qingtian looked excited and wanted to say something, Xiao Chen had already turned around and left. This made Lu Qingtian couldn't help but be stunned. After opening his mouth, he finally didn't stop him and could only watch Xiao Chen, Lu Ruoxian and others leave. Ancestor, how do you feel? After Xiao Chen and others left, concubine Lu Yan and others quickly came over and asked. Very good. As long as you give me some more time, it will not be difficult to break through to the 8th level of the Emperor. Lu Qingtian was filled with emotion when he heard this. What? Hearing Lu Qingtian's words, concubine Lu Yan and others looked horrified, with a touch of shock on their faces. Only then did they learn that Lu Qingtian's time was running out. Now, but it turns out that he will be able to break through to the 8th level of the Emperor soon. In a moment, from ascension of hell to heaven, this extreme transformation is all thanks to Xiao Chen. This Mr. Xiao is really a god. 81%. Chapter 391 The second system upgrade, shocking Xiao Chen's reward. Concubine, what do you think of this Mr. Xiao? When concubine Lu Yan and others were shocked, Lu Qingtian's eyes flickered and he asked inexplicably. This made concubine Lu Yan raise her head in surprise. Immediately afterwards, after seeing Lu Qingtian's eyes twinkling, concubine Lu Yan seemed to realize something, and she couldn't help but blush on her pretty face. Young master is a very mysterious person who can easily arouse the curiosity of others. Next moment, concubine Lu Yan calmed down and replied in a calm voice. Is it just to arouse curiosity? Don't you have the desire to understand each other, or even have each other? After hearing concubine Lu Yan's words, Lu Qingtian said meaningfully. Ancestor, what are you talking about? We just met not long ago. Concubine Lu Yan's face turned red when she heard this, and she defended with some embarrassment. Full calculation, she and Xiao Chen had known each other for less than half an hour. Where did the urge to have each other come from? She was not some lusty girl who coveted men. Ha ha ha, between men and women, the decision is often made at the first sight. If you think Mr. Xiao is very good at first sight, then you should seize the opportunity in the future. With Mr. Xiao's means and good fortune, you could miss it if you're not careful. Seeing concubine Lu Yan's appearance, Lu Qingtian said with a smile. Although he didn't have much contact with Mr. Xiao, judging from his conversation and methods, he was definitely the future leader of Eastern Domain. So exists. If concubine Lu Yan can grasp it, it will definitely be a perfect match. Ancestor, hearing Lu Qingtian's straightforward words, even though concubine Lu Yan had seen the world, she was still a little blushing at this time. You're too old to be alone. You can't stay alone forever. If not, the other old guys from the Chamber of Commerce will be looking for someone for you again. Before concubine Lu Yan finished her words, Lu Qingtian waved his hands and laughed. He left these two words and left. This time, all the hidden injuries in his body were recovered, and his talent even improved by 1 level. He should also prepare to attack the 8th level of the Emperor. You can't stay alone forever. Watching Lu Qingtian leave, concubine Lu Yan looked slightly startled and stood there for a long time. Then a smile appeared on his face, as if he had figured something out. His eyes became dazzling. Perhaps what the ancestor said is not unreasonable. People should go by their feelings. After saying these words, concubine Lu Yan was in a good mood. Step by step, he walked into the depths of the Chamber of Commerce. Seeing that I wanted to refuse, she said that she is not what she used to be, but she is the daughter of the sea. Don't I, the king of the sea, not want to taste the sea? Can this be said? At the same time, in another wing room, Xiao Chen couldn't wait to ask after arriving in the room. System, when you upgrade this time, will you still upgrade instantly? Ding. As long as the host determines to upgrade the system can be restarted and upgraded in seconds. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, the system replied mechanically. This made Xiao Chen's eyes light up slightly. He liked this way of upgrading. He could upgrade instantly without waiting. Otherwise, it would be quite tortuous. Will there be any strange phenomena in this upgrade? After exclaiming inwardly, Xiao Chen thought of something else and asked cautiously. Don't wait until the upgrade is earth-shattering, even disturbing the heavens, and you will be killed by divine punishment at every turn. The system's cards were in place, but trouble also came. Ding. There is no risk, no delay, and no movement in the system upgrade. Please feel free to host. Xiao Chen finally felt relieved after hearing this and immediately issued an upgrade instruction to the system. Ding. The system has deducted 10 billion points and is restarting for instant upgrade. Ding. The system has been restarted and upgraded. The host's monthly random recycling range has been expanded to some areas of the divine domain. Congratulations to the host for being able to use the 3 abilities of repairing, synthesizing, and upgrading below the divine level 100 times for free every month. Congratulations to the host for getting an upgrade gift package. Would you like the host to open the upgrade gift package? Almost after Xiao Chen gave the order, the system's beeps sounded one after another. This made Xiao Chen slightly stunned. Immediately afterwards, Xiao Chen's eyes widened and he realized something was wrong. System, how come there is a limit on the number of free repairs, synthesis, and upgrades below the divine level? Feeling doubtful in his heart, Xiao Chen immediately questioned the system. We have a deal. It's free to use, but you have a limit on the number of times you can use it. How is this different from a profiteer? Ding. Free use of repair, synthesis, and upgrades all require the consumption of the system's original energy. Without points replenishment, each of the 3 abilities can be used 100 times a month. This is already the limit of the system's load. If this number is exceeded, the energy points need to be replenished, otherwise the system will be overloaded. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, the system replied mechanically. This made Xiao Chen's face twitch. Damn it, this system actually played a word game. He was so excited at the time that he ignored it. But the next moment, Xiao Chen didn't bother to worry about it. After all, each of the 3 abilities can be used 100 times a month, and coupled with his current point harvesting ability, it is almost the same as an unlimited free trial. What he cared about most. This time it's an upgrade gift package. After all, whether you can obtain special abilities will depend on this wave of Krypton gold. System, I hope your upgrade gift package this time will not disappoint me. When the thoughts in his mind fell, Xiao Chen said something to the system. Ding. The rewards in the upgrade gift package are randomly distributed. Whether you can get good things depends on the host's luck. Just as Xiao Chen finished speaking, the system replied mechanically again. However, Xiao Chen didn't believe this nonsense and immediately ordered the system to open the gift package. Ding. The upgrade gift package is opening. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 3 Emperor Cultivation Experience cards, 1 Secret Key of God's Tomb and Ancient Ruins, and 1 God's Punishment Seal of Destruction. All rewards have been placed in the system space, and the host can extract and refine them with 1 click. As the system prompt sounded, information about the 3 rewards also appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. Emperor Cultivation Experience Card, a one-time life-saving prop. After using it, you can cultivate yourself and be forcibly promoted to the 9th level of the Emperor without any side effects afterwards. But it can only last for a quarter of an hour, so the host should pay attention to the time limit when using it. Secret Key of God's Tomb and Ancient Ruins, a space key that can connect to Spirit Ascension's tomb and ancient ruins. When the secret key consumes enough energy and is activated, the tunnel leading to the God's Tomb and ancient ruins can be opened. If the entrant can be recognized by the owner of the Tomb of the Gods, he will be able to obtain the corresponding inheritance of the gods. Destruction Seal of Heavenly Punishment, an indiscriminate attack prop. Once activated, it can trigger the laws of heaven and earth, thus raining down divine punishment to destroy thousands of miles in radius. It is powerful enough to kill the powerful people in the 9th level of the Emperor. Once the divine punishment comes, it will destroy all living things. If you are not absolutely sure, please do not use it to commit suicide. Note: every time the Seal of Destruction is used, there will be a 1-month cooling time. If there is enough power of the Heavenly Tribulation Thunder, the cooldown time of the Divine Punishment Seal of Destruction can be ended early after charging. But using it too frequently will trigger a backlash from heaven. As the attributes of these 3 rewards came into his mind, Xiao Chen's pupils couldn't help but widen, and a look of shock appeared on his face. Putting aside the first reward, the next 2 rewards seemed to be ridiculously strong. This wave, he's taking off again. 81%. Chapter 392 The Secret Key to the Ancient Ruins of the Tomb of Gods involves the existence of top secrets. My husband is smiling so happily, is he starting a new inheritance? Seeing Xiao Chen's rare expression of excitement, Kaiyan asked thoughtfully from the side. Last time, after Xiao Chen plundered a large amount of resources from the Huo family, he returned to the palace and started the mysterious inheritance. Obtained treasures such as the world-purifying demon fire and the immortal soul lamp. The situation this time is similar to last time. She didn't know what inheritance had been unlocked, which made her a little curious. As expected of my husband's personal queen, you noticed it and gave you a huge reward. Xiao Chen laughed when he heard this, hugged the queen, and gave her a firm kiss. Kaiyan turned red. Wow, I want it too. Kai Dai on the side saw this scene and suddenly felt unbalanced. He quickly went over to ask for it, which made Xiao Chen feel a little helpless. Okay, I'll give you one too. After pinching Kai Dai's cheek affectionately and rewarding the other party in the same way, Xiao Chen took out an ancient jade. In an instant, a vast and ancient aura of terror filled the entire wing in an instant. The expressions of Lu Ruoxian, Zhongli and others changed dramatically. What a scary smell. This aura seems to have exceeded the Emperor level. This ancient jade is in front of me. The aura that spread out was not very strong, but the level was beyond their knowledge. Even the extreme Dao Emperor weapon. The aura of law exuded cannot be compared to this ancient jade. This is definitely a divine breath. The ancient jade in front of me should be a divine object that surpasses the Emperor weapon and is out of this world. When the thought falls, both Lu Ruoxian and Zhongli exploded in cultivation at the same time, and runes continued to merge into the void, completely sealing the wing. If this kind of aura is sensed by the will of heaven and earth, the next moment will definitely bring down a heavenly punishment that will destroy the world. Thousands of miles around will be reduced to ashes until this ancient jade is destroyed. Don't panic. I have activated the Qi shielding ability. The will of heaven and earth will not be detected here. Seeing Lu Ruoxian and Zhong Li's actions, Xiao Chen raised his head and smiled to reassure them. Then, without hesitation, he chose to refine the ancient jade. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully refining with one click. The secret key of the Tomb of Gods and Ancient Ruins has been recognized as the owner. When the system prompt tone fell, a ray of light flashed from the ancient jade. Xiao Chen can sense it instantly. There is a flesh and blood connection with this ancient jade, and more detailed attribute information comes to my mind. Secret key of the Tomb of Gods and Ancient Ruins. When the divine domain Chaos God buried thousands of gods, he used his own chaos world as the foundation to form a vast and boundless world of ancient ruins. It contains the inheritance of many dead gods, and those who are destined can enter it with the secret key to obtain it. Note: the secret key is currently in a state of energy deficit and requires sufficient energy to be activated. Hiss. Chaos God. After receiving the information from this secret key, even Xiao Chen was so shocked that he couldn't help but take a deep breath. Chaos God. Although I don't know what level of God this is, the other party dares to use chaos as its god name, and can also bury thousands of gods in the divine domain. Just this piece of information. It is enough to show how terrifying this chaos god is. He is definitely the most top-notch existence in the divine domain. Unexpectedly, the secret key Ancient Jade was given as a gift from the system upgrade. It has such a terrifying origin. After a show of strength, Bo Saishi said to wait for me at the hotel tonight. If I don't come, the consequences will be serious. Damn, she's so crazy. I'm afraid she doesn't know the power of Dinghai Shinju. System, where did this thing of yours come from? Feeling shocked and incredible, Xiao Chen couldn't help but ask the system. This thing, if the system is recycled. No, if the system is stolen, it will definitely explode. Ding. This item involves the system's top secret. Considering that the host is not sufficiently cultivated at present, the system cannot tell the host the reason. But this object is definitely not recycled by the system or stolen. Please rest assured, host. After Xiao Chen asked, the system replied. This made Xiao Chen slightly stunned. The secret key in front of me actually involves the top secret of the system. Is this thing so cool? However, there is no way to know the specific situation now, which makes Xiao Chen feel a little depressed. Forget it, things at the divine domain level are still a bit far away from me now. Even if you know it, it will only increase your worries. Shaking his head, Xiao Chen didn't think too much and could only suppress the matter. Husband, is this ancient jade extraordinary? I was shocked when I saw Xiao Chen. Kyan, Lu Ruoxian and others also seemed to realize something, and asked with a somewhat solemn voice. This ancient jade can no longer be described as extraordinary. Even the entire Kanglan world combined may not be as valuable as this ancient jade. After hearing Kyan and Lu Ruoxian's inquiries, Xiao Chen didn't hide much at this time and immediately revealed some information to a few people. This is the secret key to the ruins of a god's tomb. If the secret key can be activated to open the passage, those who are destined can obtain the inheritance of gods inside. Wah! What? After Xiao Chen finished his last sentence, Kyan, Lu Ruoxian and others all had their eyes widened, as if there was a roar in their minds. The secret key to the ruins of the Tomb of Gods, to obtain the inheritance of gods. This ancient jade in front of me actually has such an origin. How is this possible? The Kanglan realm does not allow the existence of things at the divine level. Why do you have such a divine object? In the horror of all the women, Zhong Li's breathing was very rapid, and her chest was heaving violently, and she said with a look of disbelief. She was trapped in the 9th level of the Emperor for thousands of years, and she spent her whole life looking for ways to break through the realm. But later I discovered that this world was strange. There is an invisible force that isolates this world from the divine domain, and it can also suppress the breakthroughs of the world. Even once something beyond the level of the Emperor appears, heaven and earth will rain down scourges to kill them. But in front of me, Xiao Chen not only brought out a divine object, but also claimed that he could obtain the inheritance of the gods. This kind of spiritual shock was so shocking. This kind of thing is not allowed to exist in this world, but it doesn't mean that I can't get it. You just have to remember. The only things that heaven and earth can restrain are ordinary people, but it can't do anything to some existences that are beyond common sense, even if it is the way of heaven. Unfortunately, I am that kind of person. Seeing that the demon queen of the northern territory was so shocked, Xiao Chen raised the corners of his mouth slightly and replied in a calm voice. These words. This once again stirred up a storm in Zhongli's heart, and also caused Qian, Lu Ruoxian and others to have confused looks in their eyes. This is their husband. There was a monster that could not be restrained even by this side of the world, and the things he showed became more and more outrageous, but they also made them more and more crazy every time. Next, let me see how much energy is needed to open this secret key to the tomb of the gods. After these words completely shocked the girls, Xiao Chen looked at the secret key and murmured. Next moment, the cultivation level exploded. The 5 elements of chaos were like a torrent, sinking crazily into this secret key. The secret key to the tomb of gods and ancient ruins seemed to be stimulated. At this moment, there was a buzzing sound, and a terrifying suction force erupted, causing Xiao Chen's expression to change. 81%. Chapter 393. Quick, let me take a breath, I can't breathe anymore. This is the inner space of the secret key. As the true essence was being devoured crazily, Xiao Chen used this suction burst to peek into the inner world of the secret key. The vast starry sky also came into mind. Such a vast energy world was many times larger than his Dantian, and it was simply not something he could fill with his entire body of cultivation. As expected of something left by the god of chaos, I can't be satisfied with this thing at all. While feeling horrified in his heart, Xiao Chen quickly stopped this output. But in just a moment, nearly 80% of the vast true energy in his body was swallowed up. And after so much energy was poured into it, there wasn't even a ripple at all. As if inside the secret key. It was a bottomless pit that couldn't be filled, which made Xiao Chen feel horrified. Husband, can't this secret key be opened? Qian, Lu Ruoxian and others looked nervous when they saw Xiao Chen's expression change after he burst into cultivation, and then immediately terminated his connection with the secret key. This secret key is currently in a deficit state and needs to be injected with enough energy to activate and open the tunnel. But the energy space inside is as vast as the starry sky. With my current cultivation level, even if I pour all my true energy into it, it will only be a drop in the bucket. After hearing Qian and Lu Ruoxian's inquiries, Xiao Chen explained in a solemn voice. After a pause, Xiao Chen looked at a few people, hesitated and then continued. Ruoxian, Zhongli, you try to pour the true energy into it, but be careful not to get it sucked dry. Lu Ruoxian and Zhongli were both powerful men in the Emperor realm, and their true energy was much vaster than his. If Lu Ruoxian, Zhongli and others are allowed to pour in the true essence, maybe the entire secret key space can be filled in a period of time. I am increasingly using this book as a tool. Zhongli rolled her eyes when she heard this. This guy was really becoming more and more casual, almost treating her as his own woman. The only difference is, the woman on the other side can get rewards for doing things, but this woman doesn't even get rewards for doing things. No, who wants a reward from this man? Ha ha. As thoughts swirled in her mind, Zhongli shook her head fiercely. After giving Xiao Chen a hard look, his cultivation exploded at this moment. The power of the magic pattern was like a torrent, pouring towards the secret key. This scene, Xiao Chen was stunned for a moment. When she asked for something to be done, her little eyes turned so resentful. This devil queen was really not easy to do. But Lu Ruoxian had no objection. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, he raised his hand and pointed out a finger. Wanliu Junyuan also turned into a torrent and rushed towards the secret key. Buzz. Just when the two people's true energy was about to come into contact with the secret key suddenly buzzed and blocked the two people's true energy. This scene, Xiao Chen, Lu Ruoxian and others all showed a look of astonishment. It's actually rejecting our two true essences. Zhongli stopped her true energy output with a wave of her hand and looked at Xiao Chen with some confusion. At that moment, she actually felt a sense of disgust. It seems that the secret key in front of her despises her true energy is rubbish. This made Zhongli feel a little depressed. This is really troublesome. This thing only swallows chaotic energy, or pure attributelless energy. He saw Lu Ruoxian and Zhongli looking at him with puzzled faces. After Xiao Chen asked about the system, he replied with a somewhat depressed expression. There is no way to get other people to infuse the true essence, so you can only do it yourself, or burn spiritual crystals. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen put the secret key of the tomb of gods and ancient ruins into the system space and let it devour the mountains of spiritual crystals inside. The accumulation of these few months. Even though he spent a lot of money, the remaining spiritual crystals were still a terrifying amount. Make a rough estimate. There should be about 20 to 30 billion pieces. Such a huge amount of wealth, even a powerful person in the emperor realm cannot compare with it. After receiving Xiao Chen's instructions, the secret key of the Tomb of Gods and ancient ruins vibrated crazily. A terrifying devouring force also swept through the entire system space, and countless spiritual crystals continued to explode into a torrent of spiritual energy, which then surged towards the secret key of the ancient Tomb of the Gods. Fortunately, the system space is boundless, and the separation of Xiao Chen's thoughts did not affect other items. However, Xiao Chen was still extremely shocked as he watched the mountains of spiritual crystals being turned into ashes in just a few moments. This kind of devouring power. Even a strong person at the 9th level of the Emperor would have to kneel down and scream in horror after seeing it. Only less than 10 breaths. Nearly 30 billion spiritual crystals were turned into ashes and completely swallowed up by the secret key of the Tomb of Gods and the ancient ruins, and the system space gradually returned to calm. After playing in the underwater world for a day, I was suddenly told that my cruise ship had been impounded due to improper docking. I was so angry that I came to the door. Unexpectedly, I saw a familiar figure. Nearly 30 billion spiritual crystals were all gone in one fell swoop. Such a vast injection of pure energy should restore a lot of energy to this secret key. In muttering to himself, Xiao Chen touched the secret key with his soul, and the situation inside came into his mind. But the next moment, Xiao Chen's pupils couldn't help but widen, he couldn't help but grab his heart with his right hand, and his soul thought instantly exited the system space. The whole person fell into Lu Ruoxian's arms. Quick, let me take a breath, I can't breathe anymore. I saw Xiao Chen put away the secret key to the Tomb of Gods and ancient ruins, closed his eyes for a while, and then suddenly opened them like this. Lu Ruoxian and others were frightened and were at a loss at this moment. Obviously, they don't know what Xiao Chen wants to take a sip. Only colored smoke. Recalling the time at the Xian Chamber of Commerce, the movements of the old guy from Cloud Mountain revealed a hint of weirdness. Then after a moment of hesitation, he actually picked up Xiao Chen's head from Lu Ruoxian's arms and pressed it directly on his chest, which shocked everyone else. Is this a puff? This shameless guy. Zhong Li couldn't help but spit when she saw this scene. This guy, whether he treats her as an outsider or not, he really doesn't give her any respect. Is this something she can watch? Ha ha. Phew, I feel much more comfortable. After calming down for a while, Xiao Chen broke free from Kai Yan's weapon and lay down on the opponent's lap. But he still looked shocked. Husband, what happened? When Lu Ruoxian and others saw this situation, they all asked worriedly. The energy that thing requires is so terrifying, it's like a bottomless pit. After swallowing nearly 30 billion spiritual crystals, less than half of them have been recovered. Hearing Lu Ruoxian's question, Xiao Chen said with a bit of toothache. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of all the women in the room changed. After swallowing nearly 30 billion spiritual crystals, less than half of them have been recovered. Lu Ruoxian and others took a deep breath when they heard this. 30 billion spiritual crystals. This is no small sum of money. Even with some emperor-level strength, it is probably not an easy task to come up with such a huge amount of resources. And such a huge amount of resources can't even fill up the secret key, and it can't even replenish half of it. That being said, to activate this secret key, you need at least 1 trillion spiritual crystals. It is indeed a divine thing. The energy required to use it casually was so terrifying that it was simply beyond their knowledge. Don't worry, aren't there trillions of spiritual crystals? As long as you spend some time, you can still collect it. Seeing that Lu Ruoxian and others were stunned, Xiao Chen stood up and said with a smile, the depression on his face was wiped away. He has a system hanging on the wall, so it is not easy to harvest the spiritual crystals. If you put a few imperial treasures up for auction, you will get a considerable amount of income. Just now, I was just surprised by the secret key's appetite, and that's why I had that seemingly exaggerated reaction. After waving his hands to comfort Lu Ruoxian and others, Xiao Chen took out the world-destroying seal of divine punishment with his backhand. After refining with one click, more detailed information was also introduced into the mind. 82%. Chapter 394. What is the difference between this ability and that kind of heavenly way? Divine punishment and destruction seal, a special forbidden item. Once activated, it can trigger the laws of heaven and earth, use special abilities to block the induction of heaven, and form a thunder tribulation to destroy thousands of miles in radius. Everything in the direction of the thunder will be annihilated. Its power is enough to easily obliterate a powerful person in the ninth level of the Emperor. However, the heavenly punishment tribulation thunder cannot be controlled. Once activated, it will overturn the area thousands of miles away and will carry out indiscriminate attacks. Also, every time the divine punishment seal of destruction is used, it will enter a 1-month cooldown period. If charged with the power of heaven and earth tribulation thunder, this cooling time can be greatly accelerated. Note: shielding the will of heaven and mobilizing thunder tribulation is taboo. Once used frequently and the will of heaven and earth is sensed, it will trigger the wrath of heaven and bring down divine punishment for destruction. As pieces of information entered his mind, Xiao Chen couldn't help but widen his eyes at this moment. There was a look of shock on his face. Can it actually block the induction of heaven and directly mobilize the laws of heaven and earth to form the thunder tribulation? You must know the punishment of God. This kind of thunder tribulation that destroys heaven and earth can only be controlled by the will of heaven. Only if there are items in the world that exceed the limits of the rules, will the will of heaven be sensed and the will of heaven will be sent down to kill them. And once it happens, it will never stop. In other words, those who can trigger divine punishment are all targeted by heaven and put on the must-kill list. This is a proactive process. And this heavenly punishment world-destroying seal can actually block the way of heaven and directly mobilize the laws to form heavenly punishment. It's like hypnotizing Tiandao, manipulating the other party to become his tool without the other party's knowledge. What is the difference between this and MJ? No wonder there is a reminder later that if it is used too frequently and is sensed, heaven will send down divine punishment to destroy it. This heavenly punishment seal of destruction is indeed a bit too perverted. Husband, is this another divine object? When Xiao Chen was shocked, Qian, Lu Ruoxian and others felt the palpitating aura lingering on the heavenly punishment seal of destruction. They couldn't help but ask, with a solemn look on their faces. Well, this is an offensive divine item. Xiao Chen nodded when he heard this and spoke in a low voice. This object can shield the induction of heaven's will and mobilize the laws of heaven and earth to form thunder tribulation. Once the heavenly punishment comes, it will destroy the area thousands of miles around indiscriminately. The group of people present, except Zhongli, are all his women. And Zhongli is only a matter of time. So Xiao Chen didn't hide too much, so that the girls could have some peace of mind. What? Able to block the induction of heaven's will and mobilize the laws to form thunder tribulation. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, whether it was Lu Ruoxian, Zhongli, Qian Liangbing and others, everyone was frightened by Xiao Chen. Damn it, the most terrifying attack currently known in the Kinglan world. Even if his cultivation reaches the extreme level of the 9th level of the Emperor, a strong man who is known as the Great Emperor by the world has no ability to resist the divine punishment. Because this represents the sanction of heaven. All things in the world, except those who have transcended this world and whose strength has reached the true God realm or above, may not be afraid of the divine punishment of the Kinglan realm. This mysterious seal in front of me can actually trigger the power of divine punishment, and how can it remain unnoticed by the will of heaven? For a moment, the girls felt that their knowledge had been ruthlessly subverted again. If they hadn't met Xiao Chen, they wouldn't have known that there could be such a terrifying thing in this world. Of course, the disadvantages of this thing are also obvious. Once activated, it cannot be controlled. The thunder of divine punishment will carry out indiscriminate attacks and will be unable to be used for a period of time afterwards. So you don't have to think that this thing is invincible. At best, it can only be used as a trump card at critical moments. Seeing Lu Ruoxian and others, their faces were filled with shock and disbelief. Xiao Chen waved his hand and continued. A force that cannot be controlled can hurt one's own people if it is not done right. So this thing can only be used in conjunction with the resurrection ability. If one day some force from another side pissed him off, he would rush into the other side's core lair alone, triggering divine punishment and making the other side pay a heavy price. That scene is unimaginable. Ouchet, it's Bibi Dong, the senior who had an accident after drinking too much while playing an escape room with me. Could she have remembered what happened that day and come here to make trouble? I'm so panicked. My husband is humble. With such a trump card in hand, no matter which force in the world knows that my husband has such a trump card, they will not dare to provoke me easily. It's just the disadvantages of this treasure. Remember not to let outsiders know. Lu Ruoxian shook his head when he heard this and said in a complicated voice. Just less than 3 months. She saw Xiao Chen grow from a weakling who needed protection step by step to a being that could threaten the strongest. The experience along the way was really unrealistic. Do not worry. In addition to this ultimate trump card, I can use the power of the Great Emperor again. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this. 3 Great Emperor Cultivation Experience cards, coupled with this Divine Punishment Seal of Destruction, are enough to make him fearless of any force. Even those ancient clan forces inherited from ancient times are only seeking their own destruction if they push him into a hurry. When Lu Ruoxian, Kaiyan and others heard these 2 words from Xiao Chen, their pretty faces showed surprise again. They have seen it all. How terrifying it was when Xiao Chen broke out the Great Emperor's fighting power. If the opponent can use that kind of strength again, as well as having such a trump card and carrying the Emperor weapon, even the ancient clan will indeed have to avoid the edge for a while. Of course, this time, your husband has gained more than that, and some other abilities have also been improved. Next, I will help all of you raise your talents to Emperor level. Seeing the surprised expressions on Kaiyan and others' faces, Xiao Chen added a few words with a faint smile. These words, Kaiyan and others were shocked. Xiao Chen didn't say anything more and raised his hand to point at Lu Ruoxian. With a flash of light, Lu Ruoxian's talent was forcibly promoted to Monarch level Supreme Grade, and a terrifying vitality wave suddenly erupted. Lu Ruoxian's cultivation level has also returned to the 4th level of the Emperor. Such an amazing change. Zhong Li's pupils shrank slightly. This guy, not long ago, he helped the ancestor of the Lu family repair his injuries and improve his talents, and now he was able to help another emperor improve his talents. Can the other party not have to pay the price for using such unnatural means so frequently? It's your turn next. After helping Lu Ruoxian improve his talent, Xiao Chen looked at Kaiyan and others. Then follow the same pattern. Another finger pointed at Kaiyan, raising the opponent's bloodline to Monarch level Supreme Grade, and a low roar sounded from the opponent's body. Kaiyan's cultivation level soared like a rocket at this moment as her bloodline transformed. In just a few moments. Then he broke through to the 9th level of the Saint, and even broke through the barrier in one breath, and stepped into the Saint King level. So changing. Kaiyan looked a little dazed. Obviously she didn't expect that she could break through to the Saint King level so easily. In less than 4 months, her cultivation reached the 9th level, which she had never dared to imagine. Go to Transcending Tribulation to consolidate the foundation of your cultivation. Seeing Kaiyan's dazed expression, her eyes even trembling with emotion, Xiao Chen said in a soft voice. Finished. Xiao Chen looked at Kai Dai and others, and followed the same method to help them improve. The cultivation level of all the girls has been greatly improved. Kai Dai also took advantage of this bloodline transformation and was forced to practice hard during this period of time. His cultivation level barely kept up with Kaiyan's pace, and he broke through to the Saint King level. Liang Bing's cultivation has returned to the 2nd level of the Emperor, and the inheritance left by the Lord of the Abyss in his body is also accelerating the integrated union at a faster rate. Luo Yulian broke through to the 5th level of Supreme, and the 9 Nether mysterious body became more and more terrifying. There are also Duan Muzuiying and others. Each one's cultivation level has been greatly improved, some have reached the 9th level of sainthood, and some have reached the 8th level of sainthood. This progress in cultivation simply exceeded their expectations. Zhong Li, who was on the side, was so shocked that she became numb after witnessing all this. She improved the talents of more than a dozen people in one breath, and was promoted to the Monarch level Supreme Grade. Even she didn't believe that Xiao Chen was not a god. In the future, when Kaiyan and the others grow up, they will all be real empresses. How could there be such a terrifying existence in this world that can disrupt the balance? 82%. Chapter 395. This is the unparalleled advantage of means, even traveling can be so luxurious. How about it? Now do you believe that this young master is really capable and can help you break through to the divine realm? Seeing the shock on Zhong Li's face, Xiao Chen said with a faint smile. This made Zhong Li's expression stiffen slightly. Some days ago, she still doesn't think that Xiao Chen really has that ability. But now, with the various methods Xiao Chen showed, if even the other party can't help her break through to the divine realm, then who else in this world has the ability to help her break through? Among the strong people she knew, there was no one. But thinking about Xiao Chen teasing her later, even if the other party drives her away 100 years later, she would even kneel down and beg the other person not to drive her away, and she would shamelessly want to give him a child. Zhong Li still had a look of uneasiness on her face. She glared at Xiao Chen fiercely and then turned away with an indifferent expression. Stinky man, don't think that you can play with her just because you have the ability. Even if she wants to play around, she has to take the initiative. After all, she is the demon queen of the Northern Territory. She is the only one who conquers men and cannot be conquered by men. So from now on, she will be on. Bah, I was thinking wrong. Thinking of this, Zhongli shook her head violently, with a trace of shame on her face. However, out of the corner of his eye, he saw Xiao Chen looking strange, and her expression returned to a cold state again. The look on her face made Xiao Chen speechless. They have just made a breakthrough in their cultivation. Now I want to help them consolidate their cultivation and sharpen their Dao mind. Do you want to stay together? Or go outside to cool off first? Seeing the coldness and arrogance on Zhongli's face, Xiao Chen's mouth curved slightly, and he asked meaningfully. These words fell. Zhongli's expression froze slightly, and then she looked over with gritted teeth. Shameless scumbag. It's better not to die from exhaustion on a woman's belly. After leaving these two words in a somewhat off-guard manner, Zhongli distorted the space and disappeared into the room. Husband, I also want to leave for a moment. After seeing Zhongli leave angrily, Lu Ruoxian suddenly spoke. But, before Lu Ruoxian could tear apart the space and leave, her wrist was grabbed by Xiao Chen. I'll come and find you when I'm done. Then, you're not allowed to run away. When Lu Ruoxian turned around in surprise, Xiao Chen said something in a soft voice, which made Lu Ruoxian look slightly stunned. If Zhongli was still here, she would definitely call her a scumbag again. Now he was about to appease a bunch of beauties, but he still didn't forget to stare at another one. How could any man dare to be so unscrupulous? If you really have a woman to favor you, you can do whatever you want. Well, let's not run away. Lu Ruoxian smiled gently when he heard this, and just whispered these words to Xiao Chen. Thinking of the madness between the two of them last time, Lu Ruoxian was in an astonishing state of mind, and her face turned slightly red at this time. Lord Demon Lord, something happened. That ancient tomb in the 100 Beasts mountain range has been discovered by others. Just when Xiao Chen wanted to say something, Tian Xingjian's voice suddenly came in, which made Xiao Chen's eyes freeze. Husband, something happened again. Lu Ruoxian and others did not hear Tian Xingjian's voice transmission, but they felt the changes in Xiao Chen's energy at this time. Everyone also realized something was wrong. It's no big deal. It's just the ruins of an ancient tomb buried under the 100 Beasts mountains. Unfortunately, it was discovered by others. After hearing the questions from Lu Ruoxian and others, Xiao Chen raised his head and spoke in a low voice. These days have been really eventful. I finally calmed down for a while, but unexpectedly something happened again. Then don't we have to leave immediately for the Beast Mountain Range? After Xiao Chen finished speaking, Duan Muzuiying and others asked. Now Kai Yan and Nidai have just left Transcending Tribulation, and they won't be able to finish it in a few hours. The situation is a bit embarrassing. Don't be so anxious. You can let Tianxi and others drive over in the Magic Dragon chariot first. When they arrive at the 100 Beasts mountain range, we can use the space array to teleport them. After hearing the words of Duan Muzuiying and others, Xiao Chen waved his hands and said calmly. While talking, Xiao Chen took out a space array disk from the system space. Be casual, then upgrade it to Monarch level Supreme grade. Coupled with the space array plate on the double-headed Magic Dragon chariot, a group of people can travel across tens of millions of miles in a short period of time. Not to mention reaching the 100 Beasts mountain range from Fantasy Heart City, even crossing the 7 realms of the Eastern Domain is not difficult. Certainly, there must be enough energy in advance to activate the 2 Monarch level formation discs. But with the Great Emperor around me, this problem is simply not a problem. My husband is really a master of time and space management. Seeing Xiao Chen casually create an Imperial Monarch level spatial array disk, Duan Muzuiying and others were stunned for a moment, then exclaimed with admiration. This is the unparalleled advantage of means, even traveling can be so luxurious. Xiao Chen just smiled lightly when he heard this. After all, he is a reckless man, and he must follow the rules even if he is on the road. So what fun is there in this cheating life? After recognizing me, senior sister Bibi Dong said that she was sober at the time and would never forget it in the past few years. Now that she had met me again and caught the evidence, she wanted to relive it again. Ruoxian, please go out and tell Tianxi and the others, so that they can drive the double-headed Magic Dragon chariot and rush to the 100 Beasts mountains as quickly as possible. When you arrive at the 100 Beasts mountain range, or if something happens, send a message to me. Although with his current methods, he basically has no shortage of natural resources and treasures. It can also be supplied to Kai Yan and Kai Butterfly for their cultivation. But that ancient tomb, it was left behind by the powerful nine-colored sky-swallowing python, and there might be some special blood inheritance in it. These, compared with colorful smoke and colorful butterflies, it is an opportunity that can be encountered but cannot be sought. So even if this ancient tomb was discovered, he had to fight for it. Lu Ruoxian nodded when he heard the words and disappeared into the side room. Go to Tian Xie, Tian Xingjian and others to explain what Xiao Chen ordered. Ladies and gentlemen, now that we have finished explaining the business, now, my husband should also help you consolidate your cultivation. After Lu Ruoxian left, Xiao Chen looked at Duan Muzuiying and others, with a slight curve in the corner of his mouth. Marshal Dao has a long way to go in his cultivation, and sometimes it is difficult for those in authority to understand it. And as a good man, naturally, it was necessary for him to have a deeper understanding, help Duan Muzuiying and others find their shortcomings, and then use their own strengths to make up for them. When Duan Muzuiying and others heard this, they all lowered their heads in embarrassment. Live and learn. The journey of cultivation will never end, and they will only desire more. They all look forward to Xiao Chen's guidance. Outside the wing, after hearing the instructions conveyed by Lu Ruoxian, Tian Xie, Tian Xingjian, and Dawang Ancestor were a little surprised. However, a few people did not feel dissatisfied with this, so they drove the magic dragon chariot to the 100 Beasts Mountains. But Zhong Li on the side heard this arrangement. I couldn't help but secretly curse him as a scumbag. Even when something happened, he was able to arrange the time for fun. This man was really hopelessly corrupt. Hey, you, want to commit yourself to him too? Watching Tian Xie, Tian Xingjian and others leave, Zhong Li suddenly asked Lu Ruoxian after a moment of silence. This made Lu Ruoxian turn around in surprise. The queen wants to be with me. Hearing Lu Ruoxian's words, Zhong Li's expression suddenly stiffened, and she almost wanted to slap herself. I am really not curious about anything, but I am curious about this. What a bitch. I'm just curious, who is going to become that guy's plaything? After the stubborn reply, Zhong Li couldn't stay in the embarrassment any longer. He ran away just for any reason, which made Lu Ruoxian look helpless. Plaything, she dares to be sure. Within 2 months, this demon queen may be crazier than Kayan. Who still wants to play and who doesn't know yet? 82%. Chapter 396. There is no moral bottom line, she must learn from it. The other side. Before Tian Xingjian sent a message to Xiao Chen. Within the Beast Mountain range. You beast of the sky-swallowing python clan, if you dare to touch me, the dark restricted zone will not stop you. Ah, no. Amidst a burst of hysterical roars, a man yelled with a distorted expression. A rune on his eyebrows flashed continuously, and violent dark power emerged from his body. But before he could finish his words, there was a roar in the void. The shadow of an 8-colored sky-swallowing python swooped down with a roar and hit the man. Blast the opponent into the ruins below. There was a huge explosion accompanied by roaring sounds. The man who was blasted into the ground exploded with a roar. Destructive impacts continued to rage, and a deep pit was blasted out of the ruins. HMPH, if it were a powerful emperor from your clan, I would have no choice but to run away when I saw him. But a mere demon spirit from the 6th level of Supreme dares to act arrogantly in front of me, Mu Zhengelin. Seeing the deep crater being blasted out of the ground below, Mu Zhengelin had a sneer on his face. If this is a strong man from the demon spirit tribe at the level of the emperor. Even if he has the cultivation level of the Supreme 9th level, his body is still an 8-color sky-swallowing python, so he has to turn around and run away without hesitation. But just a demon spirit in the Supreme 6th level dared to try to sneak attack and control him while he was practicing. It's simply a matter of life and death. Boom. While Mu Zhengelin was murmuring, a roar suddenly erupted from below, causing Mu Zhengelin's expression to change. I thought it was the strong man from the demon spirit clan who had not yet fallen. But when his gaze was locked below, his eyes suddenly shrank into vertical pupils. This is an emperor-level formation. There is an emperor-level formation on the ground below. Seeing the collapsed earth shining with the light of the formation, mixed with a terrifying imperial power, Mu Zhengelin showed a look of shock on his face. In this land of ruins, a place usually blocked by formations must be extraordinary down there. When thoughts fall, Mu Zhengelin immediately bombarded the pit and rushed into the pit. A formation appeared in front of him. This is the power of desolation. Could it be that it was left behind by the strong men of the great desolate sect in the Kengshuan realm? Feeling the power flowing on the formation's light screen, Mu Zhenggelin's expression became a little uncertain. Wrong. That's the 9-color sky-swallowing python. Haven't been amazed for long. When Mu Zhenggelin saw inside the formation light curtain, there was a stone gate nearly 100 feet high. 2 sky-devouring pythons are engraved on both sides of the stone gate, and their whole bodies are shining with a faint 9-color light. His whole body felt like being struck by lightning, and his expression became extremely excited. This was not left by the strong men of the Great Desolation sect, but by the strong men of the Sky-Swallowing Python clan. The opponent is still the 9-colored Sky-Swallowing Python. Even across an Emperor-level formation, it can make his blood throb. This is probably the cave mansion left by the most powerful of the 9-colored Sky-Swallowing Pythons. If I can get the inheritance inside, maybe I, Mu Zhenggelin, can be promoted to Jukai. Looking at the ancient tomb in front of him, Mu Zhenggelin's eyes were full of heat, and his cultivation level was pushed to the extreme. The phantom of an 8-colored sky-swallowing python flew down along with the shadow of the fist. But the next moment, in a burst of roaring explosions, the shadow of the 8-colored sky-swallowing python was shattered by the formation, and Mu Zhenggelin was blown away. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Friend, this is a place where I am pervaded. I hope my friend can give the Great Wilderness sect some face and stop thinking about this cave mansion. When Mu Zhenggelin spurted blood and rolled back, a face appeared on the formation along with a voice. Astonishingly, it was Tian Xingjian, the leader of the Great Wilderness sect. But this is just a trace of his soul left in the formation. It does not have much strength as the main body. At this time, it can only bluff people at best. This is the cave mansion left by the strong men of our clan. When did it become the personal property of the Great Desolation sect? Hearing Tian Xingjian's words, Mu Zhenggelin couldn't help but sneered. Then a piece of 9-color scales was wiped out from the body, and the scales were activated during the burst of true energy, and a message was sent back to the clan. There is an Emperor-level formation guarding here, and it also alarmed the Great Desolation sect. He even killed a strong man from the Demon Spirit clan just now. Next, if there is no strong emperor coming to control the place, he alone cannot eat this cave mansion. Tian Xingjian's soul shadow just sighed softly when he saw this, and then disappeared from the formation. I could only tell Xiao Chen about this. After making the suggestion, senior sister Bibi Dong came to the cabin, changed her clothes and tied herself up, and then kept urging me. I was so panicked. Could it be that it was a fairy dance? Kengshuan realm, deep in the Tianmeng mountains. As an old man sitting cross-legged in the palace opened his eyes, a terrifying pressure shook the sky-swallowing Python clan. The ancient tomb of the 18th generation empress of our clan has appeared. Tiankui, Tianxi, you two take the emperor's son Mu Yan and the emperor's daughter Ni Lin and rush to the 100-beast mountain range immediately. The inheritance of our clan's 9-color empress must not fall into the hands of other clans. After this voice fell, a huge sky-swallowing python, carrying several figures, shattered into the void and headed towards the 100 Beasts mountain range at an extremely terrifying speed. Among the sky-swallowing python clan, the strong have always been respected. The position of clan leader is not limited to men and women, but is fought for based on strength and means. The 18th clan leader of the sky-swallowing python clan happens to be a woman. But more than 4,000 years ago, he was defeated by the current clan leader, lost his position as clan leader, and was unwilling to become a vassal of the new clan leader. In a fit of anger, he left the sky-swallowing python clan and even took away part of the clan's inheritance. Didn't expect it this time. Unexpectedly, I can know the location of this empress's cave mansion. Judging from the pictures sent back by Mu Zhenggelin, the 9-color sky-swallowing python engraved on the cave mansion is exactly the same as the one created by the empress. So this is definitely the cave mansion left by that empress. The other side. After Kyan and Katie passed through the Saint King Thunder Tribulation, one broke through to the Saint King's 4th level and the other to the Saint King's 3rd level. 2 sisters. Knowing that Xiao Chen was consolidating their cultivation for others, he forced them in without saying a word and asked Xiao Chen to help them consolidate their cultivation. Xiao Chen, who was already unable to get out of work, was a little too busy. Absurd. Zhang Li, who was sitting on the roof, had a look of anger on her face after witnessing this situation. The world is declining, so ridiculous. There is so no moral bottom line, she must learn from it. When the thought falls, Zhongli glanced at Lu Ruoxian, who was meditating in the courtyard. After his eyes flickered for a moment, a ray of soul could not help but penetrate into the pavilion below. No other meanings, she just wants to learn a lesson and will never do this again. As the soul thought broke through Lu Ruoxian's blockade, Zhongli's pupils couldn't help but dilate at this moment, and a strange world instantly opened up. And Lu Ruoxian below, realizing that the forbidden barrier had been invaded, he raised his head and glanced at the top of the pavilion, then shook his head helplessly. It seems, when I said 2 months just now, I overestimated the other party. Not more than a month, or half a month. This demon queen of the Northern Territory will definitely become a part of it, and may even be the one who cheers the most. After all, this demon queen of the Northern Territory has been trapped and dead in the mirror world for more than 4,000 years. The emptiness and loneliness in her heart are simply unimaginable. Once this kind of emotion is completely ignited by the opposite sex, it's hard to imagine how violent it will explode. 82%. Chapter 397. The water is too deep, and you, the Great Wilderness Sect, can't control it. Time flies. When the morning light fell on the earth on the third day, a sky-swallowing python hundreds of feet long also tore through the void and descended on the 100 Beasts mountain range. The group of people fell in front of Mu Zhengelin. Mu Zhengelin has met the two elders Tian Kui and Tian Shi, and has met Emperor Mu Yan's son and Emperor Ni Lin's daughter. Seeing the arrival of this group of people, Mu Zhengelin said respectfully, Tiankui and Tianxi. They are the third elder and the fourth elder of the sky-swallowing python clan. One has the peak cultivation level of the 7th level Emperor realm, and the other has the middle level cultivation level of the 7th level Emperor realm. In Kengshuan territory, they are all famous emperors and powerful men. After all, their sky-swallowing python clan is an ancient alien species, not much different from true dragons and true phoenixes. General Emperor level forces. I don't even have the courage to provoke them. This is really the cave mansion of the previous empress. Tian Kui and Tian Shi ignored Mu Zhengelin after they arrived, but focused their gazes on the deep pit. Looking at the cave mansion shrouded in a formation of light. After carefully identifying each other, the two of them had a look of surprise on their faces. More than 4,000 years ago, when the last female emperor was defeated and left the sky-swallowing python clan, the two of them were already powerful in the supreme realm, and they also had contact with this female emperor. Naturally, he recognized it. The 9-color sky-swallowing python totem carved by the other party was exactly the same as the one outside the palace. Very good. You have indeed accomplished a great feat by discovering this place this time. After we return, we will report the truth to the Empress and the High Priest. After confirming the origin of this cave mansion, Tiankui and Tianxi said to Mu Zhengelin. This made the other party look happy. Although this time, there is no way to monopolize this ancient tomb cave mansion, but if it can be appreciated by the Empress and the High Priest, it will also have immeasurable benefits for his future status within the clan. Two elders, this formation was set up by a strong man from the Great Desolation sect. When I discovered this cave mansion, he condensed the projection to warn me. This cave mansion is already owned by the Great Desolation sect. If we want to get involved, I'm afraid the Great Desolation sect will also intervene. When the heart turns, remembering that Xing Jian had just warned him 2 days ago, Mu Zhengelin spoke to the two of them in a low voice. Dawang sect. It's just a stronger emperor-level force from the human race. It's still inferior to the ancient clan forces like us. If they are smart people, they will not provoke us, the sky-swallowing python clan, just for the sake of this ancient tomb, cave mansion. After hearing Mu Zhengelin's words, Tian Kui waved his hand and said, as if he didn't take it to heart. Obviously, the cave mansion left by the previous empress should only be opened by the sky-swallowing python clan. If not, this powerful man from the Great Desolation sect had already looted the cave mansion after discovering it. Instead of going to a lot of trouble to set up a formation here. So, if there is no way to enter the cave mansion, the strong men of the Great Wilderness sect will probably not come again. After all, the strongest person in the Great Desolate sect, that is, the ancestor of Tianwang, has the cultivation level of the 8th level of the Emperor. But among the sky-swallowing python clan, there are quite a few who have reached the 8th level of the Emperor or above. This is the strength gap between the two elders. Before I discovered the ruins of this ancient tomb, I killed the supreme of the Night Demon clan. Seeing that Tiankui and Tianxi didn't care at all, Mu Zhengelin added after a pause. Originally, after killing the supreme powerhouse in the Dark Forbidden Zone, he planned to leave the 100 Beast Mountain Range and return to the sky-swallowing Python clan. Who knew that this cave mansion would appear and he would have to stay here? And now, as the supreme in the dark restricted area has fallen here, other powerful men from the Night Demon clan will definitely notice it. If they were allowed to touch it, this would be a bit troublesome. Night Demon clan, Dark Forbidden Zone. After hearing Mu Zhenggulin's words, Tiankui and Tianxi frowned, with a look of solemnity on their faces. If we talk about the Great Desolation sect, the sky-swallowing Python clan can be unafraid, but not the Dark Forbidden Zone. This is also a terrifying ethnic group inherited from ancient times. Overall strength. It's not inferior to the sky-swallowing Python clan, it's even a little bit better. Don't worry about it for now. The Dark Forbidden Zone may not fight with our sky-swallowing Python clan for a supreme powerhouse. What's more, they are busy looking for people in the Eastern Domain right now. The powerful emperors in the clan don't have that much free time. After pondering for a moment, Tian Kui replied in a calm voice, and then looked at the formation. The top priority is to explore this cave mansion and retrieve the inheritance of the previous empress. As these words fell, Tiankui and Tianxi both took a step, and their cultivation exploded at this moment. 9 colored rays of light shine in the sky and earth. 2 extremely ferocious shadows of the sky-swallowing pythons roared towards the formation. Next moment, there was an explosion accompanied by a roar. The formation that left Mu Zhenggulin helpless exploded like a bubble at this moment. As expected of the 3rd and 4th elders of the sky-swallowing python clan, they easily broke the formation set up by me with one move. At the same time that the formation light curtain exploded and turned into a storm. A voice also resounded throughout the world. Immediately afterwards, accompanied by the explosion of a dragon's roar, the void in the distance exploded at this moment. A ferocious 2-headed demon dragon, pulling a chariot and palace, also rushed out of the void. Shocking news now. Tiankui and Tianxi's eyes narrowed, and they both looked upward. Using a demon dragon to pull a chariot, an emperor monarch level chariot. Seeing this stunning dragon chariot, Tiankui and Tianxi both showed a hint of surprise. Dawang sect, when did we have such a majestic monarch level chariot, and dare to use true dragon race as a chariot slave? But what puzzles them is, the figures on the chariot were actually not standing on the palace, but sitting cross-legged on the dragon. Isn't he the master of the chariot palace? Are you the leader of the great wilderness sect? While feeling surprised in his heart, Tian Kui glanced at Tian Xingjian and others, and spoke in a low voice. This cave mansion was left behind by the strong men of my sky-swallowing python clan. Your great desolation sect. Are you sure you want to come here and get involved? There were almost no polite words. After recognizing Tian Xingjian's identity, Tian Kui wanted to use his power to overwhelm others. This made Tian Xingjian frown slightly, with a look of displeasure on his face. Although this was left by the powerful men of the sky-swallowing python clan, this cave mansion was discovered by me first. And he also set up a seal outside the cave mansion, so in a sense he has a place of ownership. If you want to talk about getting involved, shouldn't it be you who are meddling with the cave mansion that I am guarding? As these words fell, Tiankui and Tianxi's expressions suddenly turned cold, their pupils turned into vertical pupils at this moment, and their whole bodies were filled with an evil aura. Both of their eyes were locked on Tianxing Fitness, and their words echoed faintly in the world. Master of the Great Desolate Sect, you are so sharp in your words, don't you want the Great Desolate Sect to start a war with the sky-swallowing Python clan? With the Great Desolate Sect's current strength and foundation, we don't think you are qualified to challenge the sky-swallowing Python clan. If you had any sense, you should give up on this cave mansion instead of taking a trip into this muddy water. After all, the water is too deep, and you, the Great Wilderness Sect, can't control it. 82%. Chapter 398. In addition to the Tianmeng Mountains, are there other groups of sky-swallowing pythons in the Eastern Domain? After hearing what Tian Kui and Tian Shi said, Tian Xingjian's face instantly turned gloomy. A cold breath spread from his body. In addition to threats and warnings, these words also looked down upon the Great Desolation Sect. Jia, I haven't shown up for thousands of years. When did the sky-swallowing python clan become so crazy? When Tian Xingjian's expression turned gloomy, Tian Xie stood on the head of the demon dragon and gave a strange laugh. Although there are several of them now, none of them are as strong as each other. But they represent Xiao Chen, and they must not be weak in momentum. The 4th level of the Emperor. Tian Kui and Tian Shi looked at Tian Xie after hearing this. After noticing the fluctuation of the other party's cultivation level, they both showed a look of disdain on their faces. I'll give you a chance to make a new choice. Be sensible and leave this place as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the two armies meet, the consequences will be very difficult to be good. The words fell. The imperial power on Tiankui and Tianxi became more and more terrifying, and they were like an overwhelming mountain, toppling down towards these people. It seems that if Tian Xingjian and others remain stubborn, the two great emperors will take action. The atmosphere instantly became tense. However, neither Tian Xingjian nor Tian Xie spoke again, they just stared at these people without fear. Now that Zhang Li, Lu Ruoxian and others have not arrived yet, their overall strength is still a bit weak. At this time, they can only delay the stalemate for a while. It seems that if you don't take action, you won't be self-aware. Seeing that Tian Xingjian and others were indifferent, a cold light flashed in the eyes of the two great emperors. The cultivation level exploded at this moment, and the 9-color light shone in the sky and the earth. Buzz. Also at this time, the chariot palace behind the double-headed dragon puppet suddenly erupted with a buzzing sound, and a burst of light shone on the chariot palace, accompanied by the distortion of the void. A man with a handsome face and a group of beautiful women appeared on the chariot palace. It was Xiao Chen, Kai Yan and others. After helping Kaiyan and others consolidate their cultivation, they received messages from several people just after finishing the work, saying that they had entered the 100 Beasts mountain range. Xiao Chen had no choice but to briefly explain to concubine Lu Yan, and then teleported directly over with Kaiyan and others. But looking at the atmosphere in front of me, something seems not quite right. Shaking people. Seeing the group of people appearing on the chariot palace, Tiankui and Tianxi stopped for a moment. Staring at this group of people, his expression became a little solemn. Welcome the demon lord and his ladies. When Tianxi saw the appearance of Xiao Chen, Kaiyan and others, his expression became extremely excited, and he immediately said enthusiastically. Even the aura on his body has skyrocketed like never before. As the saying goes, a dog fights with human power. Now that people are here, even a dog like him can become arrogant. Lord Demon Lord. Hearing Tian Xia's name for Xiao Chen, Tian Kui and Tian Zai's expressions changed again, and their eyes were all fixed on Xiao Chen. Saint King 8th level. Feeling the vague aura of cultivation on Xiao Chen's body, Tiankui and Tianxi couldn't help being stunned for a moment, but their expressions became more solemn the next moment. With such a level of cultivation, how could he be called a demon lord by an emperor? This cultivation aura is definitely fake. This person is very likely to be a powerful great emperor. 8th level of emperor. Then, when their eyes saw Zhang Li, their expressions changed again. This kind of existence alone is enough to crush them. Not to mention that there is that demon lord and some powerful emperors like Tian Xingjian. The situation suddenly became difficult. After revisiting the restricted escape room, senior sister Bibi Dong said that I performed very well and would not detain my ship this time, and asked me to remember to play with her when I have time. Is this the cave mansion? When Tiankui and Tianxi were shocked, Xiao Chen just glanced at a few people and then looked at the pit below. There was a strange color in his eyes. The cave mansion left behind by the previous empress of the sky-swallowing python clan contains the essence of the other party's bloodline, but it also hides a wisp of a dead soul longing for rebirth. There is a powerful seal restriction at the stone gate. Only creatures with emperor-grade sky-swallowing python bloodline, bone age below 400 years old, cultivation below the supreme realm, and saint realm or above are allowed to enter the cave mansion. If you try to forcefully break the seal, the entire cave mansion will collapse completely, releasing the resentful spirit of the sky-swallowing python's previous generation of empresses. The moment he saw this cave mansion, several pieces of information also appeared in front of his eyes. This made Xiao Chen's eyes freeze. Another powerful emperor who encountered an accident but was unwilling to die and planned to use other heretical methods to be reborn. As expected, even though he was as strong as an emperor, he could not let go of his fall. Even if he dies accidentally, he still wants to try his best to live another life. Your Excellency, this cave mansion is reserved for the strong men of my sky-swallowing python clan. If you are not from the sky-swallowing python clan, you can't even enter. Although I don't know who you are, I hope you can give our clan some face. When Xiao Chen saw the clues about the cave mansion, Tian Kui spoke in a low voice after a moment of silence. Give you some face. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows when he heard this, and looked at these people with a sneer on his face. Why didn't you give us a face and voluntarily abandon this ancient tomb, cave mansion? How can I put it? We discovered this first. Although there is something strange in this cave mansion, if it can be handled well, it will indeed be a great opportunity. How can we give it up to others just because of their words? It's a joke. This was left by the strong men of the sky-swallowing python clan. It belongs to our sky-swallowing python clan. Tianxi shouted in a deep voice when he heard this. But before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Tian Xie. Jia, since this is something belonging to your sky-swallowing python clan, why didn't it appear in your Tianmeng Mountains instead of in the Hundred Beasts Mountains? After hearing Tian Xia's words, Tian Zai's face became extremely gloomy. Okay, there's no point fighting over this. It's obvious that this cave mansion can only be opened by people from the sky-swallowing python clan. How can you group of humans? Seeing Tianxi's face full of anger, he seemed to be about to take action. Tiankui raised his hand and sneered. But before he finished speaking, his pupils couldn't help but shrink violently when he saw the colorful smoke and colorful butterflies beside Xiao Chen. This bloodline breath. Impossible. They are actually descendants of the sky-swallowing python clan, and their bloodline aura has reached the monarch level. What? Hearing Tiankui's words, whether it was Tian Shi, the emperor's son Mu Yan, who had never spoken, or the emperor's daughter Nilin, their expressions all changed. His eyes were full of shock and disbelief. Because the sky-swallowing python clan is extremely special and possesses a strange bloodline inheritance law. Male bloodline. Integrated union cannot be made with the blood of other races. Only with the blood of the same race can one have descendants. And female bloodline. Although they can integrate union with the bloodlines of other races, they cannot give birth to pure blood descendants of the sky-swallowing python, nor can they give birth to male descendants of the sky-swallowing python. This also led to, if the 9-color sky-swallowing python bloodline is to be passed on, it can only be carried out within the sky-swallowing python clan. The descendants of the sky-swallowing python living in the outside world are all inferior bastards. Not to mention the 9-color sky-swallowing python bloodline, even the 8-color sky-swallowing python bloodline is almost difficult to see in the outside world. But now, surprisingly, 2 women with the bloodline of the 9-colored sky-swallowing python appeared next to this group of humans. Is it possible, in addition to the Tianmeng Mountains, are there other groups of sky-swallowing pythons in the eastern domain? 83%. Chapter 399. Do you think I will kill my wife? Jia, now we have descendants of the sky-swallowing python bloodline on our side, and they are also of the 9-color emperor grade bloodline. Plus this cave mansion, we discovered it first. Can you guys get out? While Tian Kui and others looked shocked, Tian Xie couldn't help but laugh strangely. I was suppressed by these 2 old guys just now, and now I finally have a chance to break away. It seems that your group is determined to get involved in this cave mansion. Hearing Tian Xia's rude words, Tian Kui and Tian Zai's expressions turned ugly, and they raised their hands and took out a 9-color scale. This is the situation in front of me. Once the war breaks out, the 2 of them can only shake people. No matter what, the inheritance of the previous generation of Empress must not fall into the hands of others. This cave mansion was left behind by your previous generation of Empress. There is a special seal on the stone door of cave mansion. Except for those with a bone age of less than 400 years old, possessing the bloodline of the emperor-grade sky-swallowing python, whose cultivation level is below the supreme realm, and who have entered the saint realm or above, they can enter. No one else can get into it. If you want to forcefully break the seal, you can only destroy this cave mansion together. Just when Tiankui and Tianxi thought a fight was about to break out and were about to start shaking people off, Xiao Chen suddenly spoke. These words, Tiankui, Tianxi and others looked shocked. Are there any entry restrictions at Cave Mansion? The 2 of them looked at the cave mansion together, their expressions becoming a little surprised and uncertain. If what Xiao Chen said is true, it would be even more troublesome to get back the inheritance. You brought 2 juniors with you on this trip, so you obviously expected this situation. Since you are determined to win the inheritance in this cave mansion, let everyone who can get in this time do their best. As he spoke, Xiao Chen glanced at Mu Yan and Nilin and added in a calm voice. If your people go in, they still won't be able to get the inheritance. Then there's no one to blame. Now with the combat power on their side, they really don't have to worry about this group of people, and they have the ability to keep them. But if they really kill him, the powerful men from the sky-swallowing python clan will definitely come one after another. Even if he had a few trump cards in his hand, he would have to break up with the sky-swallowing python clan just for a chance. Even becoming an enemy of life and death is definitely not a rational behavior. So Xiao Chen didn't want to break up with the sky-swallowing python clan until it was absolutely necessary. After all, with Kai Yan and Kai Dai around, he may have a chance to conquer this ethnic group in the future. Everyone depends on his ability. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Tiankui and Tianxi were slightly startled. Neither of them expected that Xiao Chen would suggest such a thing. After a moment of silence, Tiankui slowly raised his head and replied in a low voice. Since Your Excellency has said so, it would seem a bit ungrateful if we refuse again. With that said, Tiankui looked at Mu Yan and Nilin and spoke to them in a low voice. The high priest asked you to follow him, obviously in anticipation of this situation. After you two enter the cave mansion, you must bring out the inheritance of Empress Ling Yao. After a pause, Tian Kui seemed to have thought of something and continued to add to the two of them. In addition, this time, the main focus is to retrieve the inheritance of Empress Ling Yao, for those two women with the bloodline of the sky-swallowing python. Don't kill them unless absolutely necessary. Xiao Chen and his group were invisible to them. In addition, both Kai Yan and Kai Dai have the bloodline of the nine-colored sky-swallowing python, so Tiankui doesn't want the sky-swallowing python clan to be enemies with this group of people unless he has to. In case of colorful smoke and colorful butterflies, it comes from another unknown group of sky-swallowing pythons. It might trigger a war between the two groups. Hear Tiankui's words. Mu Yan and Nilin both nodded, but a cold look flashed deep in their eyes. It seemed that the words reached his ears, but he didn't really take them to heart. I returned to the hotel after work. As soon as I entered the door, I saw that Medusa was very unkind and said that I must have gone to a private meeting again. I'd better prove it hard or else they would step on me. Lord Demon Lord, do you really want the two ladies to enter and compete for inheritance? When Tian Kui warned Mu Yan and Nilin, Tian Xie suddenly looked over with a worried look. Because in his perception, Mu Yan and Nilin, one is at the 7th level of Saint King, and the other is at the 6th level of Saint King. Both of them also have the bloodline of the nine-colored sky-swallowing python. As for Kai Yan and Kai Dai, one only has the 4th level of Saint King, and the other only has the 3rd level of Saint King. And the two sisters have just broken through. Even if their bloodline is both 9 colors Emperor grade. But compared with the two guys opposite, there is absolutely no advantage at all. So in Tianxi's view, let Kai Yan and Kai Dai enter the cave mansion and fight with the Emperor's son and daughter opposite. This is no different from seeking abuse. How? Do you think this young master would kill his wife? Hearing Tian Xia's words, Xiao Chen asked with a smile. This made Tian Xia tremble all over, and he quickly replied that he didn't dare. But come to think of it, judging from past events, this demon lord never does anything he is unsure of. I love each of these demon lord wives very much. It seemed like he was worrying too much. This time, I will enter the cave mansion with you. If there is an emergency, I will help you. After saying something to Tian Xie with a faint smile, Xiao Chen looked at Kai Yan and Kai Dai. This made Kai Yan and Kai Dai look shocked, with a look of doubt on their faces. Didn't Xiao Chen just say, except for those with the Emperor grade sky-swallowing python bloodline, no one else can enter this cave mansion? Why are you saying that you want to enter with them now? Could it be that what the other party said just now was just a pretense? This time, I really can't physically enter with you, but I can condense my soul seal and merge into your sea of consciousness, and my soul and true spirit can enter with you. Looking at Kai Yan and Kai Dai with some doubts in their eyes, Xiao Chen didn't hold back and said straight to the point. This cave mansion is off limits. Although you can restrict other people from entering, and you can also restrict others from teleporting in, there is no way to restrict soul vassals. Not to mention, as long as he can sense the soul seal of life and death using the soul fusion technique that he practices, he can come directly regardless of the space blockade and system functions. No matter who his soul body and true spirit is in, he can still use it without any hindrance. So, even if Kai Yan and Kai Dai's cultivation levels couldn't compare to the pair of Emperor's son and daughter opposite them. But with his husband secretly cheating, he can easily suppress these two people. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen raised his hand to condense two soul seals of life and death, causing them to float in front of Kai Yan and Kai Dai. This soul mark can temporarily serve as a bridge for them to communicate. As long as it is removed afterwards, it will have no impact on the two women at all. and colorful smoke and colorful butterflies. It is not because of the specialness of this soul seal that there is any psychological resistance or disgust. Instead, it is a very numb integrated union. In this way, I can fight side by side with Xiao Chen. This is an unprecedented experience. Lord Demon Lord is truly a genius. After Tianqi witnessed all this, he couldn't help but let out an exclamation. Obviously, he didn't expect that Xiao Chen could use this method to circumvent Cave Mansion's restricted seal. Next, after the agreement was reached, both parties did not waste any time. The pair of emperors and daughters of the sky-swallowing python clan fell to the left side of the stone gate of Cave Mansion, while Kai Yan and Kai Dai fell to the right side of the stone gate. The four of them burst into cultivation. The blood of the nine-color sky-swallowing python in his body boiled instantly, and then he pressed his palm on the stone door of Cave Mansion. The stone door of Cave Mansion trembled violently. The nine-color sky-swallowing python stone pillars on both sides of the stone gate have nine-color rays of light flickering in their eyes. Immediately afterwards, two whirlpools appeared on the stone gate and swallowed the four people directly inside. 83%. Chapter 400. This time in the 100 Beasts Mountains, there will definitely be a shocking harvest. Going in. Seeing Mu Yan, Ni Lin and Kai Yan Kai Dai disappear into the whirlpool in front of the stone gate, Tian Kui and Tian Zai's eyes flickered slightly. After hesitating for a moment, the latter reached out to touch the whirlpool. It seems that he wants to verify for himself whether what Xiao Chen said is true. Boom. Next moment, when the opponent's arm stretched into the whirlpool, a roar suddenly erupted from the stone gate. A nine-color ray of light shone and struck Tianqi with terrifying power. The other party's expression changed, and he quickly broke out to resist. The whole person was knocked back more than 10 feet in the impact, and the space outside the stone door of Cave Mansion also collapsed. This scene, Mu Zhengguolin's eyelids jumped at the sight. If such a terrifying force were to hit him, he would be seriously injured even if he didn't die. The restrictions imposed by this Empress Lingyao are really terrifying. Jia, you actually dare to doubt Lord Demon Lord's words, thinking that Lord Demon Lord is deceiving you. After seeing Tianqi being shaken back, Tianqi couldn't help but laugh strangely. He was ridiculed by Tianqi. Although Tiankui and Tianqi looked a little ugly, they were more shocked and unbelievable. Both of them. If the restriction is not actually triggered, the mystery of Cave Mansion will be completely incomprehensible. But after Xiao Chen came to this world, he only took a few glances at Cave Mansion from a distance, and he was able to see through the restrictions of the seal. Such terrifying eyesight. If the other party was not a powerful great emperor, they would not believe it at all. This is the thought. Tiankui and Tianqi glanced at Xiao Chen with fearful eyes, then sat cross-legged not far away and waited for Mu Yan and Ni Lin to come out. Certainly, the two still passed back everything that happened here, as well as the information about Xiao Chen and others. As for how to decide the next thing, it depends on the decision of the Empress and the High Priest. Is your strength almost back to the 9th level of the Emperor? While Tiankui and Tianqi were sitting cross-legged, Xiao Chen glanced at the ruins. He took another look at Lu Ruoxian, who was standing by the window in the pavilion, looking at the world with a complicated face. He asked Zhang Li in a low voice. Don't know why. There was a sudden sense of urgency inside him. It seems that a crisis will come soon. The weird thing is, this sense of crisis that is emerging does not seem to come from the sky-swallowing python clan, but from this land that has been eroded by darkness. You are almost back to the 9th level of the Emperor. Why do you suddenly care about this? Hearing Xiao Chen's question, Zhang Li replied in surprise. Is it possible? Does this guy feel that the time is almost ripe and he is ready to kill and seize something from her? Don't look at me with such strange eyes. I just think that there may be a difficult enemy appearing next. I just asked you a question. Seeing Zhang Li's guarded look, Xiao Chen rolled his eyes and said speechlessly. While talking, he took out an object from the system space and threw it to Zhang Li. This is a monarch-level supreme-grade magic elixir, which is enough to restore your cultivation to its peak. You should seize the time to refine it, lest a powerful enemy really appears and it will be difficult for us to deal with it. Although he has several trump cards in his hand, if too many top players appear at once, the overall situation will still become quite pessimistic. Therefore, it is necessary for Zhang Li to return to her peak condition as soon as possible. After all, although there is only a small difference in cultivation level between the 8th level of the Emperor and the 9th level of the Emperor, there is a huge difference in the outbreak of combat power. Zhongli didn't say anything more after hearing this, realizing that a strong enemy might appear next. She reached out to take the elixir bottle and returned to the pavilion room to refine it. As expected, I suffered a severe torture. Medusa tried to suffocate me to death, stepped on me, and what was outrageous was that she asked me if I felt good, and I burst. At the same time, on the other side, Elder Yahoo, Yi Do is dead. In the basement of a city in the profound heaven realm, a supreme strongman from the demon spirit tribe said to an old man in black robes. This person is none other than the fifth elder of the demon spirit clan, Yi. He has a cultivation level at the peak of the 7th level of the Emperor, and is one of the elders sent out to find Lu Ruoxian on this trip. How did you die? Hearing the Supreme's report, Yahoo opened his cloudy eyes. There was a hint of chill in the hoarse voice. Night fight. Counting it all together, he should be his 5th-generation grandson, and he is also quite talented. That's why I can cultivate to the Supreme 6th level. Even though the demon spirit tribe doesn't value family ties, it would be a shame for the bloodline descendants derived from him to be suddenly slaughtered. I don't know the specific situation. We only know that he went to the 100 Beasts Mountains to check if there was any trace of Lu Ruoxian, but unexpectedly he was killed by someone. He didn't even have time to send back the information. After hearing Yahoo's words, Supreme quickly replied. His body was lying on the ground. It seemed that he was afraid that the elder would be furious after hearing this and kill him directly. 100 Beasts Mountain Range. Yahoo's eyes condensed upon hearing this, and his eyes began to twinkle. Since that battle, the 100 Beasts Mountain Range has been completely reduced to ruins, and the mountains and ground have been corroded by the power of darkness. Except for some dark monsters, no strong person will go there again. How could Yado be killed there? He didn't even have time to send the information back. Whispering secretly, Yahoo stretched out his dry dark blue fingers and tapped lightly on the armrest of the throne. Immediately afterwards, as if he had thought of something, he grabbed the armrest with his right hand and crushed it to pieces. Is it possible that she would be hiding in the Beast Mountain Range? Don't know why. This idea suddenly popped into Yahoo's mind, and that intuition became stronger and stronger. And this her naturally refers to Lu Ruoxian. Recently, they can be found in all major areas of the Eastern Domain. However, in an almost carpet-like search, they could not find any trace of Lu Ruoxian. Not a single clue, only the 100 Beasts Mountain Range. There are also some relatively remote places that they have not carefully searched. And the Beast Mountain Range. Because of that battle, the earth was eroded by the power of darkness, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth became somewhat mixed. From a normal perspective, this willow god will never hide in this place. Because of this, it will make the opponent's injuries more difficult to recover, and it will also make the dark and ominous power more active. There will be backlash at any time. Think about it from another perspective. The most dark and unknown power remains in the 100 Beasts Mountain Range, and Lu Ruoxian Ruo is the one who seals the dark and unknown power on his body. Hiding alone in this ruined land, with the dark and ominous aura above his cover, it would not be easy for even Yilan, the master of the dark restricted area, to sense the other party. I would only think that there would be a dark and ominous aura in this land, all because of the remnants of the previous war. This is the so-called darkness under the lamp. The most dangerous place is the safest place. With that person's courage, it might be possible to hide deep in the Beast Mountain Range. As the thoughts turn, this intuition became stronger and stronger, causing Yado to stand up suddenly. Give me the order, gather some people and go to the 100 Beasts Mountains. Even if you dig thousands of feet into the ground, you still have to dig through the 100 Beasts Mountain Range inside and out. That cunning plant spirit may be hiding deep in the 100 Beasts Mountains. Upon hearing Yahoo's order, the Supreme raised his head sharply. Didn't a grandson die? How could it still be related to Lu Shen's matter? However, this supreme warrior from the demon spirit clan didn't think too much. After responding, he left the hall to gather his troops. It's still not right. With that person's cunning, if the other party is really hiding in the 100 Beasts Mountain Range, he will definitely have many backups in place. This trip, I must go there in person to confirm. Not long after the Supreme Warrior left, Yahoo thought about it and then changed his mind, tearing apart the space and disappearing into the hall. He had a premonition. This time in the 100 Beasts Mountains, there will definitely be a shocking harvest. Mountains, there will definitely be a shocking harvest. Mountains, there will definitely be